Chapter 558. Great General to you. Father has already followed your instructions and changed the prison into the appearance of a mystic realm. He has also set up a restriction outside. Those below the supreme realm are not allowed to enter. Zhang Sasha saw Lin Yu and Zhang Qingxue eating intimately. She pursed her lips and forcefully suppressed the envy in her heart as she reported. Lin Yu nodded casually. How many people from the 100 dynasties have come? Basically, all of them have come, and according to our request, there are no supreme realm experts. Zhang Sasha immediately said, We have already arranged for them to stay outside the palace. The strange thing is that the people from the Purple Cloud dynasty have not appeared yet. It doesn't matter if they appear or not. Lin Yu smiled. He already had the blood of the descendants of the Purple Cloud dynasty in his storage ring, so this dynasty was no longer important to him. Moreover, Lin Yu's next plan had already been started by Zhang Wudi. Zhang Sasha only felt that Lin Yu's words were unfathomable, but she did not dare to ask, because since yesterday, Lin Yu's identity had changed greatly. Her fear of Lin Yu had also changed once again. But what Zhang Sasha found even stranger was the change in Zhang Wudi. This morning, Zhang Wudi actually took the initiative to bury the hatchet with him, and even swore to work together for the Great Yu Massacre. But Zhang Sasha could tell that the person Zhang Wudi respected from the bottom of his heart was the Great General. However, Zhang Wudi, this hedonistic person, had always been proud and arrogant. What exactly did Lin Yu do to make him pledge his loyalty? Zhang Sasha was very curious about this. The people from the 100 dynasties are all here for Lin Yu. This person who is wanted by the Songyuan sect really has a lot of face. Zhang Sasha had a capable and experienced look as she asked again, Great General, the people from the 100 dynasties are here. Do you want to go out and meet them? No need. Lin Yu tasted the hot tea that Zhang Qingxue had just handed over. You can put less tea leaves next time. He reminded her. Zhang Qingxue nodded obediently. Yes, Qingxue will brew another pot for you. Zhang Sasha, who was in front of him, was stunned. Although Zhang Qingxue was now Lin Yu's martial niece, this was the first time she saw her sister serving someone so willingly. Perhaps even the vast Moon King had never received such treatment. However, after Lin Yu finished speaking, there was no anger on Zhang Qingxue's face. It was as if Zhang Qingxue was willing to do anything Lin Yu said to pick on her. Then I'll tell them that the general is busy. Zhang Sasha nodded and cupped her fists, preparing to leave. She was much more efficient than Zhang Qingxue and Zhang Wudi. No, just tell them. Lin Yu stopped her and played with the chopsticks in his hand. I need to make arrangements for the 100 dynasties to enter the mystic realm and see which dynasty is more suitable to enter first. I really don't have time to meet them. Layout? Zhang Sasha frowned. When he thought about it, he seemed to have understood something. He was once again astonished by Lin Yu's strategy. I understand. Go. Zhang Sasha took her leave. Soon, the news that Great General Yang Kai was in charge of the Yu Massacre spread throughout the vast Moon Dynasty where the 100 dynasties were gathered. In order to hide the fact that the ancient city was the place where the vast Moon Dynasty's destiny was located 100,000 years ago, the vast Moon King also changed the ancient city's name to the Mystic Realm. Now, other than Lin Yu, Zhang Sasha, and the vast Moon King, everyone else only knew that Lin Yu, who was wanted by the vast Abyss Dao Master, was hiding in a mystic realm in the vast Moon Dynasty. And this time, the vast Moon King invited everyone to come and capture Lin Yu. At this moment, at the gathering place of the 100 dynasties, many people were discussing in the vast Moon Dynasty's 10 guest halls. The vast Moon Dynasty is full of tricks. If Lin Yu is really here this time, why don't they go in and capture him themselves? He wants to capture him, but how can someone who is wanted by the vast Abyss Dao Master be ordinary? I think the vast Moon King doesn't have the confidence to capture Lin Yu himself, so he asked us to help. Isn't he afraid that we'll snatch Lin Yu away? That's a treasure worth a year's worth of the Great Emperor's comprehension. I heard that the mystic realm has a restriction that only those below the supreme realm can enter, so the vast Moon King can't capture Lin Yu himself. but this gives us a chance. That kid is really cunning, hiding in the vast Moon Dynasty's mystic realm. No wonder we couldn't find any clues, even after searching the entire Tsang Lingdao world. While everyone was discussing the Yu massacre, Zhang Sasha appeared again. When those people saw her, they also pretended to greet her. The vast Moon Dynasty was at the bottom of the 100 dynasties. A mere vast Moon Fourth Princess was naturally not worth mentioning in their eyes, because the vast Moon King had said that only those below the supreme realm could come. The strongest among them was only at the third heavenly layer of the laws. However, even so, they were still the prodigies of the various dynasties. Only such prodigies would be selected by the emperors of the dynasties to participate in the Yu massacre. These people were used to being arrogant and haughty. Their talent was far above Zhang Sasha's. Being able to greet Zhang Sasha at this moment was also taking into account that the Yu massacre this time was the vast Moon Dynasty as the host. The matter of everyone wanting to meet General Yang previously, this princess already went to pay a visit to General Yang. It's just a pity, Zhang Sasha said a few sentences according to what Lin Yu taught her. The people of the 100 dynasties all had their own ulterior motives in their hearts. Arranged to enter the mystic realm? So he has no time to meet us? A little interesting, this great General Yang. I heard that he was just conferred the title by the vast Moon King, appearing out of nowhere. Such a formidable figure really makes people curious. May I ask, Fourth Princess, how does General Yang plan to arrange the order of our 100 dynasties entering the mystic realm? This was the question that concerned them the most. There is still order in queuing, let alone the order of entering the mystic realm to capture Lin Yu. This big fat sheep? Zhang Sasha smiled. The curvaceous body under her clothes moved a little, saying, "This great general hasn't been decided yet. Everyone, rest assured, the great general will try his best to be fair." The more she said this, the more the scheming people of the 100 dynasties felt that there was something fishy going on. Lin Yu could be in the mystic realm. Whoever entered the mystic realm first would be able to capture Lin Yu faster and exchange it for the great fortune that the Ghost Emperor comprehended in a year. Entering the mystic realm first would have an absolute advantage, so they were well aware of how important the order was. In addition, Zhang Sasha deliberately mentioned the word fairness, which made the people of the 100 dynasties feel that the so-called fairness also meant that there was still room for discussion. I've finished speaking. Everyone, please wait for tomorrow. When Great General Yang Kai arranges everyone's order, you can enter the mystic realm. After saying this, the people of the 100 dynasties had even more questions in their hearts. But when they wanted to ask, Zhang Sasha didn't give them the chance and had already left the 10 guest halls. These 10 halls were built with glory bot and were connected to each other. After Zhang Sasha left, the atmosphere of the 300 people in the 10 halls became lively again. Chapter 559. Outside the reception hall. Princess, does this great General Yang have another idea? Yes, Princess. Why do I feel that the people of the 100 dynasties are very uneasy? 2 capable palace maids asked one after the other. Don't ask about things you shouldn't ask. Zhang Sasha warned them. Lin Yu's plan was inextricably linked, and Zhang Sasha didn't want to make any mistakes in her hands. After an hour, the people of the reception hall left one after another. Many of them had storage rings in their hands, looking nervous and urgent, as if they were going to do something very urgent. On the streets, the civilians of the vast Moon Dynasty all felt strange when they saw this. Those are the people of the Cloud Mist Dynasty. Where are they going? There are also people from the 7 Xian Dynasty and the Jade Sea Dynasty. Where are they going? Everyone was discussing. The people of the different dynasties also looked at each other, knowing what each other was going to do. In the blink of an eye, they had already appeared outside the 7th Princess Palace. Haha, do you think the people of the Greening Dynasty will also do this kind of backdoor thing? Why? Only your Cloud Mist Dynasty is allowed to send gifts to General Yang, but our Greening Dynasty can't? That's not it. I thought you were very confident in this Yu Massacre conference, but I didn't expect you to care about General Yang's arrangements. Haha, a good start is half the battle. If we're the first to enter, maybe the next few won't have to enter the sealed world. The people of the two dynasties had already begun to argue. The people of the other dynasties didn't waste any time. They all rushed out of the seventh princess palace. They thought that not many people would come, but the people of the Green dynasty and the Cloud Mist dynasty didn't expect that when they arrived, the princess palace was already full of people. Damn it, these people have already seen through General Yang's intentions. 100 Dynasty's heaven's pride. They are actually shamelessly trying to get in through the back door like us. However, these hundreds of people couldn't enter the seventh princess palace at all, because the door in front of them had already been closed. Only the dozen or so palace maids at the door seemed to know that guests were coming and had already prepared here. Please inform General Yang Kai that the people of my Cloud Mist dynasty have come to visit. Our Green dynasty as well. The Immeasurable dynasty is also here. We request an audience with General Yang. Chasing Cloud dynasty. Cold Sun Empire. The Nine Songs dynasty. I request an audience with General Yang. When the palace maids heard the name of the dynasty being mentioned, they became increasingly nervous. They had probably never seen such a large group of people in their lives, but all of them were here to look for Lin Yu. General Yang has ordered that he will be busy setting up the mystic realm today and will not see any guests. The palace maids said with trepidation. Everyone from the 100 dynasties looked troubled. Could it be that General Yang Kai was so fair and selfless that he wouldn't even give them a chance to enter through the back door? The general also said that if you have something to do, you can leave a message or... The palace maid swallowed and stammered, or you can leave something behind. These people didn't know why Lin Yu wanted them to do this, but since Lin Yu said so, they could only do as they were told. They did not understand, but the people of the 100 dynasties understood very well. Then, please give this storage ring to General Yang. Remember, this is a gift from my Nine Songs dynasty. The people of the 100 dynasties almost rushed up to give a gift. The three people from a Nine Songs dynasty who were first in line said angrily, "Step back. We were here first." "Ha, idiots. Your reaction is so slow, and you want to enter through the back door like us?" The three of them were smug. "Slow down." General Yang said that today's visitors should come here to register their messages. After the palace maid said that, everyone saw that there was already a registration array outside the seventh princess residence. When the people of the 100 dynasties saw this scene, they suddenly had a strange feeling. Not only were their palace maids registering, but there was also an appraiser. At this moment, the appraiser was holding the storage ring from the Nine Songs dynasty in his hand and spreading out his divine sense. The people of the Nine Songs dynasty were stunned in place, not knowing what the people of the seventh princess residence were doing. Not only them, but the people of the 100 dynasties behind them were also tiptoeing and sizing up the front. But soon, everyone saw the appraiser shake his head and return the Nine Songs dynasty storage ring. "I won't accept it." The appraiser's cold voice sounded. The people of the Nine Songs dynasty could not react for a moment. Next, the appraiser said again, "Wait." The people of the Nine Songs dynasty came back to their senses. Is there something wrong with our storage ring?" "Yes, this is what we left for General Yang." "Didn't you say that we could keep it?" The appraiser shook his head again. "I can't say. After saying that, get lost, get lost. General Yang doesn't care about your gift. Move aside." No matter how unwilling the people of the Nine Songs dynasty were, they were already pushed aside by the people behind them. "Greetings. This is a token of our appreciation from the Cloud Chasing dynasty. Please pass our storage ring to General Yang." The appraiser was expressionless. He took the storage ring and scanned it with his divine sense again. After a long time, he retreated again. "I won't accept it." The people of the Cloud Chasing dynasty were stunned. Get lost, get lost. They suffered the same fate as the people of the Nine Songs dynasty. After knowing that their gift was rejected, they were pushed aside. After that, another dynasty came up. The appraiser closed his eyes and scanned the storage ring with his divine sense. After a long while, the appraiser nodded in satisfaction. "Accept. Master, you have a good eye." The people of the dynasty laughed a few times and were extremely excited. They bowed again and again. "Then I'll have to trouble you, Master, to pass on our small gift to General Yang. Remember, We're from the Cold Sun Dynasty. You may leave. The appraiser was extremely cold, but he still nodded. The people of the Nine Songs Dynasty and the cloud-chasing dynasty frowned. They wanted to know their intentions. Why were they rejected? Another hour passed. A total of 70 dynasties' gifts had been returned. As for the remaining 28 dynasties, the appraisers successfully accepted their gifts and registered their names. In the seventh princess's bedroom, Zhang Qingxue looked puzzled. Naturally, she knew what was happening outside. Master, since we can accept their gifts, why do we have to reject some of them? Zhang Qingxue's face was flushed. She was holding Lin Yu's fingers tightly. As the law of harmony was activated, it made her breathing a little rapid. Master, your cultivation base has become stronger ever since you got out of prison. Zhang Qingxue could not take it anymore. She shook her head. She felt that Lin Yu's overbearing cultivation base was about to break through her body. Slow down, Master. Lin Yu was helpless. He could only suppress his cultivation base to less than 30%. Zhang Qingxue's complexion finally looked better. Retreat in order to advance. Lin Yu only said 4 words before he closed his eyes. Chapter 560. Zhang Qingxue was puzzled. At this moment, the cold voice of the old appraiser came from outside the closed door. However, he was only cold to the people of the 100 dynasties. At this moment, his tone was very gentle and attentive. Princess, we have accepted the storage rings of 28 dynasties. Oh, Master, slow down. Zhang Qingxue was almost speechless. She barely stabilized her state before replying to the appraiser. Go outside and wait. Someone might come later. Yes. The appraiser nodded respectfully. Princess, should we lower the requirement? He felt that it was too wasteful to return the gifts like this. After all, those 70 storage rings were all treasures from different dynasties. He had never appraised so many good things in his life. Zhang Qingxue glanced at Lin Yu and saw the latter shake his head. She immediately replied, There's no need to lower it. Continue to do as my uncle master instructed. Outside the door, the appraiser nodded. Then I understand. It's still the same old rules. We won't accept gifts worth less than 10 billion glory baht. With that, Zhang Qingxue did not respond, and the appraiser left tactfully. Zhang Qingxue came to a realization. Master, are you returning the gifts because you want them to bring more expensive ones? Lin Yu nodded. Leave the expensive ones and return the cheap ones. Even if we didn't say it explicitly, the people of the 100 dynasties are not fools. The rules of human relationships are also a way to comprehend the great Tao. I hope they can gain some enlightenment. Zhang Qingxue was even more impressed by Lin Yu's righteous words. Master is too great. She pursed her lips and smiled. She was happy for Lin Yu. She naturally knew that helping the people of the 100 dynasties to comprehend the great Tao was just a joke from Lin Yu. Zhang Qingxue was happy that Lin Yu had already made a huge profit before the Yu massacre event even started. This was something that Zhang Qingxue had never thought of. This was also why her master was so powerful. As expected, after another 2 hours, Zhang Qingxue and Lin Yu finished cultivating and opened the door. The appraiser was so happy that he couldn't close his mouth again. Princess, many of the dynasty's people went back to exchange for new gifts. We received another 10 storage rings worth over 10 billion. Seeing that Lin Yu was also in Zhang Qingxue's room, the appraiser naturally knew not to ask further. He only fawned over him. General Yang, the gifts we have received have already exceeded the value of 200 billion Yao baht. Lin Yu took a sip of Zhang Qingxue's newly brewed tea and said calmly. When the appraiser heard these 2 words, he immediately felt a chill down his spine and knelt down in fright. This old servant misspoke. Those are all General's treasures. Continue watching, Lin Yu said again. The appraiser felt as if he had been given a new lease of life. Master, don't be angry. They always get carried away easily. Zhang Qingxue looked apologetic. After all, the appraiser was one of her people. She also understood Lin Yu's intention. Things were only half done, and the biggest taboo was to be greedy and forget about the worries. This was what the vast Moon King had taught her since she was young. It's fine. Lin Yu naturally would not argue with them. Instead, he was thinking that those treasures could be used to turn into more Yaobat. After all, Yaobat was the most commonly used cultivation consumable in this world. Especially for Lin Yu, every breakthrough in the future might attract a heavenly tribulation. At that time, he would need the Yaobat to turn into Yaobat to keep him in a state where his Yao Qi would not dry up. As for the system's reset, it would also reset his skills while healing his injuries. Therefore, when Lin Yu broke through, using the system was not the best method. On second thought, Lin Yu checked the system in his mind. Eternal Host, Lin Yu, Spacetime Value, 8783388862. Lin Yu knew that smart people would definitely be able to see the problem with the spacetime value. It was not the real spacetime value, but the entrance to the low-key sect in reality. It was also the gathering place of people who liked this world. Soon, the appraiser returned again. General Yang, you have received 50 storage rings worth 10 billion. Continue, Lin Yu said lightly. The appraiser left tactfully, not daring to say anything else this time. After a few more cups of tea, 70 rings, 90 rings, 98 storage rings were placed in front of Lin Yu, except for the Purple Cloud Dynasty that did not come and the Vast Moon Dynasty that was the host. The 98 dynasties that came to the Yu Massacre meet this time were all unwilling to fall behind and sent gifts to Lin Yu. These people naturally wanted Lin Yu to arrange for them to enter the mystic realm first. Lin Yu had already prepared a speech for this. Since everyone had sent gifts, of course they would enter the mystic realm together. Anyway, the stone bed at the entrance had now been transformed into a teleportation array that was more than 100 feet long. He only needed the blood of any descendant of the 100 dynasties to activate the teleportation array. Lin Yu scanned with his divine sense and took away the Yaobat inside. There were more than 800 billion Yaobat. There were also some elixirs and refining materials that Lin Yu found useful. He had already put them away. As for those that were not very useful, Lin Yu put them all in a storage ring and handed it to Zhang Qingxue. Prepare a live broadcast for me. Lin Yu ordered Zhang Qingxue. Even though the appraiser had lived for more than 100 years, he was still confused by the conversation. Live broadcast. She naturally did not understand Lin Yu's words. That's right. You introduce the items inside one by one to them and let them buy them themselves. Lin Yu explained. I understand. Zhang Qingxue took Lin Yu's storage ring. Master, how should we set the price? Lin Yu raised his eyebrows at the appraiser, and the latter immediately stepped forward. Take out any one of them. Lin Yu instructed. Zhang Qingxue immediately took out a golden chain armor from her storage ring. The former did not speak, but the appraiser consciously said, This is the golden sparrow armor. It is made from the feathers of a seven-tailed golden sparrow, a demon beast that has lived on an island in the southern nation for at least 1,000 years. The feathers have been from the seven-tailed golden sparrow for many years. They have absorbed the spirit energy of the demon beast and are invulnerable. This golden sparrow armor can at least offset 50% of the power of a full-strength attack of a second-layered law. The appraiser did not hold back. She cupped her fists at Lin Yu and said with a smile, General, the estimated value of this armor is about 5 billion Yaobat. Seeing Lin Yu nod, Zhang Qingxue immediately said, Then, Master, should I sell at 5 billion? No. Lin Yu shook his head. Sell everything at 10 times the price. This, the appraiser's head buzzed. She thought she had heard wrongly. 50 billion. Zhang Qingxue's beautiful eyes widened. Will anyone want it? As long as it's my live stream, someone will definitely want it. Remember to tell them in advance that I will pay special attention to the people who buy the treasures. Lin Yu raised his eyebrows. Zhang Qingxue pursed her lips slightly. She felt a stab of pain in her conscience. By the way, let's set the original price at 100 billion first, but there will be a 50% discount during your live stream. Lin Yu reminded her again. Anyone who isn't stupid will buy this half-price deal. Yes. Zhang Qingxue and the appraiser agreed at the same time. The two of them took the storage rings and gathered the others in the princess residence according to Lin Yu's instructions. They were ready to start the first live stream of their lives. As for Lin Yu, he was summoned by the vast Moon King to the palace. Chapter 561. Only the vast Moon King was present in the Dragon Palace. Greetings, Your Majesty. Lin Yu greeted with a fist salute. This was the second time he did not kneel to the vast Moon King. But thinking of Lin Yu's special identity and that he could not suppress him, the vast Moon King was helpless. If he did not want to kneel, then so be it. The vast Moon King smiled and said, "We can enter the ancient city at any time. How are your preparations?" He wanted to check Lin Yu's homework. There's no need for any preparations. As long as they enter the ancient city, my goal will be achieved. Lin Yu said in a deep tone, "I like how confident you are." Very good. The vast Moon King smiled from the bottom of his heart. If Lin Yu hesitated and looked nervous, the vast Moon King might use some other tricks to restrain Lin Yu and the people of the 100 Dynasties. If necessary, he did not mind forcing the people of the 100 Dynasties to stay. But doing that was much more rude than the massacre. Once he did that, the people of the Songling 100 Dynasties would not let him go. "Your Majesty," the vast Moon King spoke again. Lin Yu blinked his eyes, thinking of that charming woman. He couldn't help but reminisce about it. But he was still calm on the surface. The vast Moon King could not see any clues and continued. "The Queen has mentioned to me many times that the great general's trip will be dangerous. She hopes that I can send more people to protect you." Lin Yu did not speak, but he saw a trace of suspicion and probing in the vast Moon King's eyes. With his understanding of Queen Lingfei, he had already instructed her. There was no need for her to do anything on her own. Then Queen Lingfei would not take the initiative to ask the vast Moon King to protect Lin Yu. So Lin Yu quickly determined that there was only one reason. The vast Moon King deliberately mentioned Queen Lingfei's concern for Lin Yu to see Lin Yu's reaction. Is it the Queen who does not believe me, or the Emperor who does not believe me? Before the vast Moon King could continue, Lin Yu spoke first. He did not try to hide the anger in his tone. From vast Moon King's point of view, he was very satisfied with Lin Yu's reaction. "Ha! Great General, you've misunderstood. The Queen is just concerned about you. Since the Great General doesn't need anyone else, I'll just let you and Qingxue go in." The vast Moon King smiled faintly. He told Zhang Qingxue about Queen Lingfei. Lin Yu knew that he had passed. If he accepted the Queen's kindness, the vast Moon King would be suspicious. It was likely that Lin Yu had been going in and out of the Queen's quarters recently, and the vast Moon King had found out about it. The mutual deception between the royal family was never that simple. Bring Qingxue. Lin Yu felt a little helpless, but there was nothing he could do. This was because the vast Moon King was worried that Lin Yu would do something in the ancient city that he did not know about. It seemed like Zhang Qingxue was protecting Lin Yu, but in reality, she was monitoring Lin Yu. It was a pity that the vast Moon King did not know that he was not Zhang Qingxue's martial uncle, but her master. Lin Yu already had an unusual relationship with Zhang Qingxue. "Thank you, Your Majesty." Lin Yu saluted with his fists. The vast Moon King nodded in satisfaction. It was not until Lin Yu left the Dragon Palace that he narrowed his eyes and said in surprise in his heart, "Am I being paranoid?" Lin Yu looked over and did not have any connection with the Queen. He even felt a little disgusted with the Queen. The Queen did not see me today, but often summoned Lin Yu. I thought Lin Yu was the Queen's man. The vast Moon King sighed softly and rubbed his eyebrows. "I'm old. Why would I be afraid of this back then?" After leaving the Dragon Palace, Lin Yu returned to the 7th Princess residence again. The route he took along the way was extremely low-key, so not many people paid attention to him. When Zhang Qingxue saw Lin Yu return, she immediately rushed over with a smile. "Master, our things are all sold out." "Oh." Lin Yu raised his eyebrows. Although it was reasonable. After all, the people of the 100 Dynasties wanted to curry favor with him now, so they had to give him enough face. Naturally, they had to pay a little for the live broadcast. However, Lin Yu did not expect that so many things would be sold out in just 4 hours after he left. "Yes, General Yang, you've earned again this time, and it's even more than this morning." The old appraiser was so shocked that he could not speak clearly. In all these years, this is the first time I've seen so much dazzling bot. With trembling hands, he handed the storage ring to Lin Yu. General Yang, the prophets this time are all here. The people of the 100 dynasties have already returned. The princess has ordered me to send them away and not disturb your rest. Well done. Lin Yu nodded. His divine thought had already scanned the storage ring. 2 trillion dazzling bot. It was indeed much higher than the prophets in the morning. Before entering the mystic realm, Lin Yu had already maximized the profits of the great General Tu. Lin Yu put away the storage ring. Immediately, he drew a bright light from the storage ring and handed it to the old appraiser. You've worked hard this time. This is a reward for me. After Lin Yu finished speaking, he motioned for Zhang Qingxue to follow him. The two of them entered the room together. Outside the door, the old appraiser's divine thought landed in the storage ring. Immediately, his whole body trembled. 200 billion. His mind was in turmoil. He had seen 200 billion in his life, but he had never held 200 billion dazzling bot with his own hands. Moreover, Lin Yu had already said that this was a reward for them. I thanked General Yang for his kindness. The appraiser's tears flowed down his face as he faced Lin Yu's room. The servants of the 7th princess residence did the same. Everyone kowtowed to Lin Yu. They had seen generous masters before, but they had never seen a master like Lin Yu who rewarded 200 billion dazzling bot in one go. This was a kind person. The old appraiser recalled that he had said something wrong in the beginning. He did not expect that not only did Lin Yu not punish him, but he also gave him such a big reward. I'll distribute it to everyone now. After getting up, Lin Yu's position in these people's hearts was raised to an unparalleled level. Inside Zhang Qingxue's room. Master, I prepare the herbs you asked people to prepare. Zhang Qingxue immediately reported what Lin Yu had told her to do. Very good. Lin Yu brought her to the side of the pool. Let's do it in the water today. With that, he waved his right hand. The black and white true fire wrapped around the herbs beside the pool. At the same time, billions of dazzling bot flew out of Lin Yu's storage ring. They were also refined by the black and white true fire. This is the art of alchemy. Zhang Qingxue's eyes widened. She saw drops of extremely pure medicinal liquid left on the herbs and merged with the dazzling bot in the pool. Master, you're actually an alchemist? Zhang Qingxue's heart pounded. Now that she was in the pool with Lin Yu, she felt a little shy. However, Lin Yu's heart was clear and transparent. How could he have such dirty thoughts? Chapter 562. The vast Moon King has given the order for you to enter the secret realm with me tomorrow. Lin Yu reminded Zhang Qingxue. The latter's face suddenly tensed up. Master already knows? Nodding, Lin Yu smiled. What did he ask you to do? Zhang Qingxue did not dare to hide anything. Father asked me to be on guard against Master doing anything harmful to the vast Moon Dynasty. He said that luck must stay in the vast Moon Dynasty. What a paranoid emperor. Lin Yu smiled faintly. Zhang Qingxue was even more worried that Lin Yu would blame her. Master, don't worry. I'll listen to you. If Master does something harmful to the vast Moon Dynasty, will you blame me? Lin Yu raised his eyebrows and looked over. His casual words were met with Zhang Qingxue's determined gaze. I believe Master won't do that. Why? Because Master's a good person. Zhang Qingxue's bright eyes were unwavering. Looking at the sparkling water in the pool, Lin Yu smiled faintly. How does Master look like a good person? Everywhere, Zhang Qingxue retorted. Master gave the servants a lot of glory bot just now. I saw it all. Master cheated the glory bot from the 100 dynasties and gave it to the weakest people. That's a good person. The word cheat is not used well. Master is selling things at a clear price. How can you say that it's a cheat when both parties are willing? Lin Yu was a little helpless. Master is right. I said the wrong thing. Zhang Qingxue smiled obediently. That's why Master is the best person. I believe you won't harm the vast Moon Dynasty. Father, after so many years, he might not even trust me. Master, please don't blame Father. Lin Yu smiled. It's normal for an emperor to be suspicious. He was a little curious. Aren't you afraid to enter this secret realm with me? Even your father can't deal with the thing inside. This time, I'll let the people from 100 dynasties come because I want to use their power to deal with that thing first. Lin Yu remembered that he had learned a lot of Zhang Qingshue's secrets during the 100,000 years he was trapped. However, most of the time, he only learned about the secrets of her body. At this moment, Zhang Qingxue showed absolute trust in him, as well as the resoluteness on her face. It gave Lin Yu a different feeling. Don't be afraid. I've long wanted to go in with Master to protect him. I was worried that you wouldn't let me. Zhang Qingshue's veil was already soaked in the pool. She lowered her head and smiled. I didn't expect Father to arrange for me to go in, understood? Lin Yu smiled. This woman was just like Qin Yi in the past. After living in a comfortable environment for so long, she probably wanted to find some excitement. I need to be in perfect condition before the secret realm opens tomorrow. Lin Yu interlocked his fingers with Zhang Qingshue's. The law of harmony circulated, and in the pool, the yin and yang energies formed a chaotic cyclone that surrounded the two of them. As the medicinal power seeped in, Lin Yu's power was gradually stabilized to its strongest state. Zhang Qingshue's forehead was sweating, and she tried her best to cooperate with Lin Yu. After a night, the rising sun shone into the bedroom. Lin Yu and Zhang Qingsue had already stopped cultivating. At this moment, outside the prison, Zhang Ke and the others, as well as Zhang Wudi and the officials of the Vast Moon Dynasty, were all waiting anxiously. They were in the secret realm that was emitting the light of a teleportation formation. It was also the entrance to the vast Moon Ancient City. The prince consort should be here soon. Zhang Kuei swallowed. In front of him, hundreds of people were ready to go. Each of them looked arrogant, as if they didn't take him seriously at all. They were the prodigies from the Songling 100 dynasties, and also the participants of the Yu massacre. The path of cultivation is about seizing fortune and treasures. Today, Lin Yu represents the great emperor's 1 year of enlightenment, and that is the greatest fortune. The great emperor's enlightenment is invaluable to a supreme. Today, our 9 Songs dynasty must take down Lin Yu first. Yes, don't worry about anything else. Once Lin Yu appears, capture him alive immediately. I spent 30 billion dazzling bite yesterday. I wonder what order General Yang will place our Cold Sun dynasty in today. 30 billion? I spent more than 50 billion. If there's a ranking, it should be my Chasing Cloud dynasty first. These people had not set off yet, but they were already at daggers drawn. Zhang Kuei and the others, who were in charge of the defense, broke out in cold sweat when they saw this scene. Any one of these people was a prodigy of the dynasty. Regardless of cultivation or status, they were far above the few prison guards. However, they had no choice. They were former prison guards, and now they could only brace themselves and watch. However, these people looked like they were about to start a war. If a fight really broke out, Zhang Kuei would run away immediately. Prince Consort, you must come quickly. Not only was Zhang Kuei nervous, but the rest of the people from the Vast Moon Dynasty were also very nervous. Zhang Wudi and Zhang Sasa led the other officials and waited there. Their emperor seemed to have a special relationship with this matter and needed to avoid arousing suspicion. Therefore, he did not appear. Since the emperor did not come, Queen Ling Fei naturally could not come on her own. Why hasn't General Yang appeared yet? This is strange. The opening time has passed. If General Yang does not appear, I feel that these people will not be able to hold themselves back. Shut up. Zhang Wudi snorted and warned the officials. General Yang naturally has his own plans. Why do you need a medal? On the other side, Zhang Sasa wanted to speak up for Lin Yu, but now Zhang Wudi seemed to care more about Lin Yu than she did. Zhang Sasa immediately omitted this sentence. However, she was even more surprised. How did Lin Yu turn Zhang Wudi into this? Not only was he extremely loyal to Lin Yu, but when he mentioned the great general, Zhang Wudi's face naturally brimmed with a warm smile. It was the joy of being loved. What the hell? Zhang Sasa shook her head, reminding herself that she must be hallucinating. At this moment, in the princess residence, Lin Yu changed into a clean set of clothes under the service of Zhang Qingxue. Then, he leisurely brought Zhang Qingxue to the entrance of the secret territory. Lin Yu was naturally not in a hurry. If he did not appear, who would dare to make a move? When the crowd saw General Yang appear, they immediately made way for him. Lin Yu walked in front, stretching his back lazily as he passed through the 300 geniuses. Due to the vast Moon King's rule, only 3 people from each dynasty could enter. Therefore, there were only about 200 to 300 people present. These people's gazes all fell on Lin Yu. Those who were more sensible had already taken the initiative to greet him. General Yang. Good morning, General Yang. General Yang came at the right time. Heaven rewards the diligent. As expected of the vast Moon Dynasty's great general. These people's praises came one after another. Chapter 563. These people's words made Zhang Kuei and the few people from the vast Moon Dynasty stare. Why was the person who was late the most praised instead? Lin Yu naturally did not care about their feelings. When he passed by Zhang Wudi, the former and Zhang Sasha saluted respectfully at the same time. How is it? Lin Yu asked. Zhang Wudi smiled faintly and replied in a voice that only Lin Yu could hear. Rest assured, father. The herbs have all been sent to the Purple Cloud Dynasty. They have not discovered any clues yet. Very good. Lin Yu only left these 2 words and turned around. Standing on a high platform, he looked down at the people below. Let's begin. The officials of the vast Moon Dynasty thought that Lin Yu would say a bunch of opening words, but did not expect that he actually opened the mystic realm so easily. However, it was these 3 words that already made the people of the 100 dynasties seethe. Go! It's finally open. Lin Yu, just you wait. Lin Yu's words were law. Zhang Ke, Zhang Wudi, Bai Chun, and the rest immediately revolved their cultivation and all converged into that teleportation array. Place the blood of the vast moon in advance. Lin Yu smiled and saw that in the middle of that huge teleportation array, a drop of blood essence suspended in the air fell on the array. Clearly, that vast Moon King was worried that people would notice the clues of opening the ancient city, so he did a little concealment. The core of that array was where the stone bed was previously. At this moment, the blood essence of the descendants of the 100 dynasties merged into the array, and the teleportation lights soared into the sky. General Yang, how should we go in? Yes, General Yang, please arrange. When they saw that the Mystic Realm's teleportation array opened, they were already eager to give it a try and immediately asked Lin Yu. Arrange it. Lin Yu touched his chin. It's absolutely fair. Everyone goes in together. Finished speaking, Lin Yu already disappeared into the teleportation array with Zhang Qingxue. The hearts of the people of the 100 dynasties rumbled. Then what was with them sucking up to Lin Yu yesterday? But the current situation did not allow them to think too much at all. Forget it, charge. Damn it. Let's take down Lin Yu first. Everything will be worth it. Whoosh, whoosh. Everyone entered the teleportation array at full speed. The atmosphere around the mystic realm, which was originally very lively, suddenly became dead silent. Father, take care. Zhang Wudi's expression was solemn, revealing his concern for his father. As for Zhang Sasha, after watching Lin Yu hold Zhang Qingxue's hand and enter the secret realm, she suddenly recalled the scene when she entered the secret realm with Lin Yu for the first time. At that time, Lin Yu wasn't holding her hand. Thinking of this, Zhang Sasha felt bitter in her heart. Inside the mystic realm, Lin Yu was the first to appear on the cliff. At the bottom of the cliff, Zhang Qingxue's eyes widened, and her pupils dilated continuously. It was as if she saw half of the destroyed ancient city. However, even after the battle between the Lightning Dragon and the Torch Dragon and the Vast Moon King's involvement, much of this place had been destroyed. However, Zhang Qingxue could still feel the history and grandeur of the ancient city. This is the mystic realm. General Yang, where is Lin Yu? Behind him, the people from the 100 dynasties also appeared one after another. Lin Yu stood with his hands behind his back facing these people. Naturally, He could tell that these people were only flattering him on the surface, but in reality, they did not take him, who was at the first firmament of the laws, seriously at all. If Lin Yu was no longer useful, these people might kill him and snatch the glory bait immediately. Back then, I met Lin Yu. After fighting with him, he was no match for me. After fleeing, he hid in this dragon, cave, mystic realm. Lin Yu said indifferently, his tone filled with reminiscence and conceit. However, speaking of Lin Yu, this person is really talented. He's elegant and has an imposing appearance. He's the first person I've seen in my life. It made others who heard his words feel that it was true. Lin Yu praised himself for an hour before continuing to talk about serious matters. Unfortunately, he entered this dragon cave mystic realm, and the guardian torch dragon in the mystic realm has the combat strength of a supreme. I couldn't go in deep, so I could only report to His Majesty. He did not need to say much about what happened after that. The people from the 100 dynasties could also make the connection. I see. Lin Yu, this brat is really cunning. He actually knew to hide here. A torch dragon with the combat strength of a supreme. Oh no, Lin Yu can't have died here already, right? Everyone discussed animatedly. Beside Lin Yu, Zhang Qingxue almost laughed out loud. Master, when you speak, can you even deceive yourself? She only felt that Lin Yu was too amazing. Whether it was when he was pretending to be a woman back then, or now, when he was pretending to be Lin Yu's opponent, he acted so well that no one could see any flaws at all. I didn't expect there to be such a mystic realm under the vast Moon Dynasty. Torch Dragon, where is that thing? While everyone was asking, Lin Yu spoke again. 100,000 years ago, the vast Moon Dynasty was the center of the Tsang Dao world. The ancient city here was also the place with the highest authority in the Tsang Dao world. Unfortunately, they were afraid that Lin Yu would speak for another hour. General Yang, let's not talk about the past anymore. Yeah, now it's more important for us to capture Lin Yu. These people were already starting to get impatient. Why would they care about the past? Now, they only knew that the vast Moon Dynasty was just a backward dynasty, a barbarian land. If it was not for this massacre event, they would not even want to come. General Yang, please take the lead to find out where Torch Dragon is. With the strength of 300 people, we can take him down first. Don't worry. General Yang is a great strategist. He must have a perfect plan to lead us to slaughter Zhanlong. General Yang. Am I right? The leaders of the 100 dynasties immediately said a lot of sugar-coated words. Lin Yu smiled faintly. Naturally, he could see that these people were pretending to be polite and wanted to use him one last time. Yes, I have a plan. However, you still have to listen to me to avoid any accidents. Lin Yu reminded them. Beside him, Zhang Qingxue felt that Lin Yu's words had a deep meaning. However, the people of the 100 dynasties did not seem to care at all. General Yang, let's begin. Okay. Lin Yu smiled and flew down the cliff with Zhang Qingxue. The magnificent ancient city was magnified in front of them. The people of the 100 dynasties looked at each other. Let that brat take the lead. We'll wait for the opportunity to move. When the time comes, Torch Dragon will kill everyone here. We'll take Lin Yu and leave immediately. When Lin Yu appears, we'll take him down first. Who cares about Torch Dragon? These people all had their own ulterior motives. They all flew down the cliff and followed Lin Yu into the ancient city. It was different from the last time Zhang Sasha came. These people were impetuous and blinded by greed. They did not have the heart to observe the ancient city's 100,000 years of history. On the other hand, Zhang Qingxue looked around. She was the same as Zhang Sasha when she first came. She saw some ancient totems on the city walls and was shocked. Chapter 564. Ancestral Totem. Zhang Qingxue muttered to herself. Lin Yu, who was beside her, raised his head. Remember, listen to this general's orders. He reminded them again. Even though the people of the 100 empires already had different plans in their hearts, they still went along with it on the surface. Just as Lin Yu's voice was heard, a violent wind suddenly blew in the sky above the ancient city. An extremely majestic pressure came from the sky. There was no sunlight in this underground world, Only the stone walls of the ancient city that were made of glorious gold emitted a faint light. At this moment, when everyone raised their heads, they saw a huge black shadow descending towards them. Torch Dragon. That's the monster beast of the sealed realm. General Yang, how do we fight this thing? Everyone's expression turned serious. Firstly, the Torch Dragon's body was huge, and the pressure they felt now was actually from the Torch Dragon's divine sense. Secondly, they felt the damage from the divine sense. This thing specialized in attacking divine sense and was very strong. At this moment, Lin Yu smiled faintly and raised his right hand, his 5 fingers forming a claw in the air. Suddenly, everyone saw a wooden block appear in Lin Yu's hand. Wooden block? Could this be Yang Kai's weapon? The vast Moon Dynasty is indeed a barbarian land. A dignified general uses a wooden block as a weapon, but when they took a closer look, they saw that it was a sword hilt. With the Emperor's sword in hand, the sword hilt sensed Lin Yu's sword chi and quickly extended vines, wrapping around Lin Yu's arm. In an instant, the Emperor's sword that belonged to Lin Yu soared into the sky, forming an azure sword that was 99 feet long. So long. Is this a saint artifact level treasure? Only then did everyone know how powerful the wooden block in Lin Yu's hand was. Just this? Lin Yu touched his chin. The length of the Emperor's sword varied from person to person. Could it be that his sword dao was only 99 feet long? Or was this the limit of the Emperor's sword? Follow behind me. As Torch Dragon attacked, Lin Yu did not waste any more time. With a command, he leaped into the air. Zhang Qingxue and the rest of the 100 Dynasties Guild followed suit. Lin Yu held the Emperor's sword in his hand and raised it horizontally. The sword chi suddenly formed a huge, illusory sword body. As the cultivators of the 100 Dynasties revolved their cultivation bases, the 300-plus people were all submerged into the sword chi. The Emperor's sword let out an excited roar as its sword chi expanded once again. 300 zhang, 1,000 feet, 50,000 feet, 10,000 zhang. Zhulong's eyes were filled with killing intent. First, it was Lin Yu who unlocked a bloodlock. Then, it was the battle with the vast Moon King. At this moment, he had sensed the blood energy of the people of the 100 Dynasties. They're all here. His resentment erupted, and the Torch Dragon's deafening roar resounded through the world. Then, a 30,000-foot-long sword chi rushed over. He flapped his wings and collided with the sword chi. Whoosh! Bang! An incomparably powerful explosion sounded. The aftershock of the battle between the sword chi and Torch Dragon's spiritual sense directly shattered the ancient city below. Lin Yu changed his sword move again. Taking advantage of the moment when Zhulong took a step back, the tens of thousands of sword chi phantoms pierced through his left wing. Roar! Torch Dragon's furious roar sounded as a terrifying flame burned in its scarlet mouth that was filled with fangs. Candle Dragon Demonic Flame. Lin Yu activated his sword chi and changed direction again. Man and sword as one. As his voice fell, Lin Yu's sword principle surged into King's sword. The originally illusory sword chi suddenly became material. A gigantic sword that was 100,000 feet long charged towards the Torch Dragon's flames. Bang, bang, bang. The huge sword pierced through the ancient city, and even the ground below was torn apart by the sword chi, leaving a deep crack in the ground. Everyone from the 100 Dynasties felt their hearts tremble at this moment. They were all surprised by the strength of this great General Yang Kai. Controlling the power of more than 300 people to fuse into the Emperor's sword, he still seemed to be able to do it with ease. However, only Lin Yu knew that he had not used his full strength at all. In the next moment, the huge sword cut through the Torch Dragon's demonic flames, and everyone felt a stabbing pain in their heads. It's a divine sense attack. Hold on, we can win. At the front, Lin Yu seized the opportunity and saw Torch Dragon's injured left wing. His sword chi changed direction and broke through the Torch Dragon's demonic flames again, piercing through the left wing for a second time. Roar, roar. Torch Dragon's pained roar spread in all directions. He was formed from resentment and could not be injured by any weapon. However, King's sword was an emperor artifact left behind by the Sword Emperor. Lin Yu had even fused his Garuda divine ability with it. Even if Torch Dragon was formed from resentment and did not have a material body, he could still pierce through it. So, the huge sword slashed down, turning into 3,000 sword chi phantoms that all slashed at the left wing. Boom boom. Torch Dragon's left wing was completely broken. Its huge body directly smashed into the ground. Success. Almost. Lin Yu's sword chi changed direction, wanting to deal a fatal blow to Torch Dragon. However, the people from the 100 Dynasties looked down. In the depths of the ancient city was the sealed 1,000-foot unity talisman. There's another door? Lin Yu must be down there. The huge sword had already appeared in front of Torch Dragon and was about to pierce through Torch Dragon's heart. Nine Songs Dynasty. Cold Sun Dynasty. The people from the Greening Dynasty dispersed their cultivation and left the huge sword without caring about the lives of others. Sword chi leaked out. They were not the only ones. Cloud Chasing Dynasty. Thunder Martial Dynasty. The others instantly followed. Leave Lin Yu behind. Darn it, follow him. Behind Lin Yu, the people from the 100 Dynasties had already charged towards the Unity Talisman. Due to their departure, the huge sword lost its support and instantly disintegrated. Upon seeing this, Torch Dragon slashed down with its claw. Lin Yu was helpless. He hugged Zhang Qingxue and did not linger on the battle. He instantly stepped on the king's sword and used sword kinesis teleportation. After dodging the sharp dragon claw, the 99-foot-long sword landed on an undamaged tall building. Zhang Qingxue was still in shock. These people are too much. If it were Lin Yu, the two of them would have been dead by now. Forget it. I knew they were unreliable. Lin Yu smiled faintly and put away the king's sword. His gaze fell on the Unity Talisman. Since they're courting death, they can't blame anyone else. He took out a large amount of obsidian bot and refined the obsidian bot with his black and white flames to restore his and Zhang Qingxue's cultivation. At this moment, Torch Dragon's attention was no longer on him. It was on the Unity Talisman. Why is this thing here? Darn it. Boom, boom, boom. The demonic fire swept across like a heavenly punishment. The first batch of people who approached the Unity Talisman were severely injured on the spot. They spat out mouthfuls of blood. Save us. The demonic fire burned the ground. 30 people, 50 people. Torch Dragon went berserk. Even though its left wing was broken, the lethality of the demonic fire increased due to its anger. Even though the people from the 100 Dynasties regretted it and wanted to escape, the entire ancient city was instantly enveloped by the demonic fire. The demonic fire had no effect on buildings, but it was fatal to the divine consciousness. Chapter 565. 100 people, 200 people. One by one, the paragons of the 100 Dynasties fell. If they were united, they could have killed Zhulong with the last strike of the giant sword. But they gave up. If Lin Yu hadn't been on guard against this, he would have been the first to die just now. The paragons of the 100 Dynasties fell, but in the sky, drops of blood essence floated. The blood essence seemed to be drawn to the unity of heaven and man talisman. It was the bloodline of the 100 Dynasties. 99 blood chains appeared on the unity of heaven and man talisman. Lin Yu knew that the time had come. The drop of blood essence from the Purple Cloud Dynasty in his storage ring also flew towards the talisman. Light shot into the sky. Zhulong roared, and its scarlet eyes locked onto Lin Yu. Lin Yu and Zhang Qingxue were the only living people here. Let's go. Lin Yu hugged Zhang Qingxue's waist and exerted force with his feet. The ground they were standing on instantly shattered. With the momentum, Lin Yu quickly approached the unity of heaven and man talisman. Bang! The blood chains were activated. 1 chain, 10 chains, 30 chains. The bloodline of the 100 Dynasties fused into their respective blood chains. Zhulong's demonic fire descended once again. Lin Yu unleashed his full strength as a triple yuan fusion cultivator. The black feathers on his back suddenly spread out and turned into golden feathers. Behind him, a huge golden-winged rock appeared and crashed into the demonic fire. Lin Yu and Zhang Qingxue arrived in front of the unity of heaven and man talisman. He slammed his palm on the talisman. 80 chains. 100 chains. They were all unlocked. Bang, bang, bang. A strong wind blew on the ground. It was as if the surrounding energy in this underground world surged towards Lin Yu's feet. The unity of heaven and man talisman vibrated, and the chains fell off. Lin Yu sensed that the sky above him was pitch black. Zhulong was here. The demonic fire suddenly descended. Master, Zhang Qingxue was extremely nervous, but she suddenly sensed a gentle force pushing her hundreds of feet away. It was Lin Yu's palm strike. Withdrawing his palm force, Lin Yu ignored the demonic fire that was rushing down from the sky and pressed his hand on the unity of heaven and man talisman. The next moment, the 10,000 feet talisman shone brightly, and a suction force appeared in front of Lin Yu, directly sucking him in. Master, Zhang Qingxue wanted to rush forward, but the candle dragon demonic flame had already engulfed the entire oneness of heaven and man talisman. She could not take even half a step forward. At this moment, Lin Yu's consciousness was blurry, and he had already appeared inside the unity of heaven and man talisman. Black and white interplay, wheel of life and death. Thunderous sounds echoed in Lin Yu's ears. He knew that this was the voice that came from the unity of heaven and man talisman. Lin Yu sat down cross-legged. The sound of thunder rumbled above his divine sense. Not only that, when the candle dragon demonic fire from the outside burned the unity of heaven and man talisman, its destructive power could also invade the talisman. Lin Yu gritted his teeth while enduring the sound of thunder and the demonic fire at the same time. There was a hint of excitement in his eyes. Let's see if my Dao heart is stronger, or if your attacks are stronger. Lin Yu's lips curled up. Anyone who endured such immense pain and felt as if their mind was about to explode at any moment would only be in extreme pain. However, Lin Yu was still meditating calmly. Karma cycle. Great Dao, open and close. Thunder. It was a trial and also a Dao enlightenment. As for the candle dragon demonic flame, Lin Yu also treated it as a tempering of his divine sense. Time gradually passed. Zhang Qingxue was already in tears outside. However, she could not break through the demonic fire in front of her, even if she used all her strength. 2 hours, 4 hours, 6 hours. Even the Zhulong's demonic flames were much weaker than before. Clearly, his strength was not limitless. The demonic fire that filled the sky in the ancient city gradually disappeared. However, the Tao light of the unity of heaven and man talisman was even stronger. It directly illuminated the underground world, making everything here as bright as day in the outside world. Zhang Qingxue approached the unity of heaven and man talisman. At that moment, she could vaguely see Lin Yu meditating cross-legged in front of her. Master, Zhang Qingxue suddenly sensed that Lin Yu's aura was extremely weak. While she was worried, she was also sucked in by the unity of heaven and man talisman. In the outside world, the candle dragon demonic flame dissipated. The candle dragon also seemed to have reached its limit, and its body began to turn illusory. There was a golden dragon vein above the dragon's head that slowly landed in front of the unity of heaven and man talisman. This overlord demonic beast from 100,000 years ago only had a trace of resentment left. It could also cause a massacre in the ancient city 100,000 years later. It was hard to imagine how tragic the price that Songling Dao world had paid to kill the candle dragon when it was at its peak. It was also because of the tragic price that the ancestors of the Songling Dao world knew that they had made a mistake. They gathered the blood essence of the 100 races and sealed the unity of heaven and man talisman. This item was a supreme treasure and also the source of their sins. However, now, the supreme treasure that was full of temptation to them 100,000 years ago. Today, 100,000 years later, the unity of heaven and man talisman was being recognized by Lin Yu. Zhang Qingxue appeared inside the unity of heaven and man talisman. She was immediately pulled to Lin Yu by force. Lin Yu, who was already comprehending the unity of heaven and man talisman, immediately activated the harmony law and absorbed all the yin-yang great Tao stored in Zhang Qingxue's body during this period of time. Zhang Qingxue also felt her master's need. She did not resist at all. The harmony law appeared between the two of them. The woman's yin qi and the man's yang qi intertwined. It seemed to be compatible with the great Tao of the world inside the unity of heaven and man talisman. The two forces complemented each other. Yin-yang complement. The sound of thunder came again. The great Tao has been comprehended. Combined. With the last word, Lin Yu's eyes suddenly opened. When he appeared, he was already outside the unity of heaven and man talisman. On his glabella, an azure talisman floated faintly. Lin Yu is now sure that it was the combination talisman of the heaven, man, unity, and one talismans. Divine will has reached its limit. Lin Yu muttered to himself, and a gentle force was transmitted to Zhang Qingxue's body in his arms. At this moment, Zhang Qingxue had transmitted a large amount of power to Lin Yu, so much so that she was in a semi-conscious state. Lin Yu put her down because now he could no longer suppress the breakthrough of his divine will. The dragon vein appeared in front of him. Lin Yu's 5 fingers formed a claw and grabbed it in his hand. Luck open, divine will break. He exerted force in his hand, and the dragon vein immediately erupted with a soaring light. This light directly broke through the underground world. Outside, Zhang Wudi, Zhang Sasa, and the others also immediately retreated. The stone bed that was originally connected to the teleportation portal and the ancient city exploded. Zhang Kuei and the others all spat out a mouthful of blood. Fortunately, they dodged in time and saved their lives. In the Dragon Hall of the Vast Moon Palace, the Vast Moon King was still begging Queen Ling Fei to do the deed as husband and wife. However, at this moment, the two of them were attracted by the shocking tremors at the same time. Chapter 566. Could it be that General Yang succeeded? Vast Moon King suppressed his anger and disappeared from where he was. When he reappeared, he was already outside the prison. That's right, it can't be wrong. Vast Moon King's mind was in a formation. In front of him, the light of the dragon vein connected the vast Moon Dynasty and the Tsangling Dao world. In an instant, he already felt the fate between heaven and earth gathering. It was originally a kind of nothingness that could not be seen with the naked eye. However, in the space of the vast Moon Dynasty, the concentration of Yao Qi rose crazily. Monsters prostrated on the ground, and the vitality of plants suddenly increased by several times. Even the injuries of Zhang Kuei and the other prison guards who were injured earlier were healed by 70% to 80% under the light of fate. Fate, the fate of my vast Moon Dynasty that has been dormant for 100,000 years. The Vast Moon King looked up to the sky and laughed. He placed his hand on the light pillar of fortune. Suddenly, he felt refreshed and refreshed. The supreme will in his body was operating on its own. Vast Moon King did not hesitate and sat cross-legged in the air. Seeing this, Zhang Wudi, Zhang Sasa, and countless soldiers of the Vast Moon Dynasty also sat down to comprehend. The underground world. Lin Yu was the closest to the land of fate. Master, is this what father wants? Zhang Qingxue only felt that her eyelids were very heavy, but she still looked curiously at Lin Yu and the light pillar of fate. The latter stood with his hands behind his back. After confirming that Zhang Qingxue was fine and just needed some time to rest, he entered the world of the seal with Zhang Qingxue just now. For Zhang Qingxue, it was also a great fortune. Lin Yu knew that Zhang Qingxue's body had been planted with the law of the 3rd level. Once Zhang Qingxue recovered her strength, she would be able to break through. He murmured with a smile. Fate is originally an illusory thing, so instead of calling it fate, it's better to say that it's the original vitality of its Songling Dao world. Vitality. Zhang Qingshue's face was puzzled. Lin Yu continued, life force determines whether the warriors here can obtain a better cultivation environment. This life force was sealed in Torch Dragon's body 100,000 years ago because of the grudge between your ancestor and Torch Dragon. Master, are you saying that the light from Providence originally belonged to us, but it has always been sealed by Torch Dragon? You could say that. Lin Yu nodded and took a step forward as well. The shattered dragon vein around him formed the shadow of a Torch Dragon. This shadow was extremely small, 100 times smaller than the original Resentment Torch Dragon, but it was still as tall as 3 people. At that moment, Zhu Long was standing in front of Lin Yu, completely unscathed. His scarlet eyes had turned calm. The combination talisman has already recognized its master. It seems that the resentment has also disappeared. Lin Yu smiled faintly and bowed to the Torch Dragon. Revered beast, you've worked hard for the past 100,000 years. As soon as these words came out, Torch Dragon's dragon head prostrated, as if kowtowing to Lin Yu in gratitude. Lin Yu stepped forward and stroked Torch Dragon's head. The next moment, Torch Dragon transformed into divine sense power and poured into Lin Yu's glabella. As the combination talisman operated, this power was infinitely purified and finally became the purest divine sense power, nourishing Lin Yu's divine sense. Lin Yu raised his head, clearly feeling that the balance of karma in his body had become stronger. As long as his aura became stronger, the great Tao of karma from the Ghost Emperor would also become stronger. Unless the Ghost Emperor died, Lin Yu would not be able to break free from this thing. At that moment, Lin Yu's deep gaze seemed to pass through endless time and space. His naked eyes could not see the outside world, but under the balance of karma, he could feel that the Ghost Emperor was looking at him. The Ghost Emperor's killing intent had also become sharper. Since you keep an eye on me every day, then I'll let you do me a favor. The corners of Lin Yu's mouth curled up, no longer suppressing his divine sense aura. The next moment, his divine sense aura skyrocketed. Divine sense, first layered heaven eternal laws, revolved wildly. First layered heaven 30%. First layered heaven 50%. First layered heaven 70%. First layered heaven 100% grand completion. Lin Yu's divine sense aura instantly reached the limits of first layered heaven laws. The next moment, his entire body moved without wind. His divine sense rumbled, forming a Torch Dragon phantom. A white doppelganger appeared beside Lin Yu. It was his divine will first heaven doppelganger, with the Torch Dragon as the soul, with the Great Void 8 divisions dragon manifestation as the body. Divine sense second layered heaven, dragon god laws. Lin Yu and his clone spoke at the same time, voices transmitting over. At the same time, because the underground world was broken open from the beginning, his second heavenly tribulation was currently condensing outside Songling Dao world. Over there, an aged figure was originally still staring at Lin Yu, but at this moment, he also sensed the heavenly tribulation behind him. Thunderous. The thunder dragon that was colossal, as if it could devour the starry sky, opened its incomparably sharp fangs, swallowing down at the Ghost Emperor. Breaking through to the law realm can actually trigger such a vast heavenly tribulation. The Ghost Emperor's voice transmitted over in a low voice. He was between Lin Yu and the heavenly tribulation. Before the heavenly tribulation fell on the vast Moon Dynasty, it definitely had to pass through him first. But the Ghost Emperor was unable to avoid it. He could not let the heavenly tribulation kill Lin Yu. Otherwise, the 9 great Emperor treasures might also be completely destroyed in the heavenly tribulation. Lin Yu's life was not important to him. What the Ghost Emperor truly cared about was the 9 great Emperor treasures that he had waited 10,000 years for. Damn it, he raised his hand. It was actually the great Emperor's equalization operation, striking a palm on the heavenly tribulation thunder dragon. Rumble. At this moment, no matter how unwilling the Ghost Emperor was, he also had to block this heavenly tribulation for Lin Yu. Inside the Tsang Spirit Dao world, Lin Yu's aura skyrocketed. After 4 hours, it finally stabilized. However, at this moment, he casually raised his hand. An illumination dragon phantom actually swept out, directly igniting a flame on the ancient city's side. Zhang Qingxue was happy for Lin Yu. But looking closely at that flame, it looked similar to the illumination dragon's flame, but seemed to be even stronger than the illumination dragon's demonic fire. Because even though Zhang Qingxue was so far away, she still felt the stabbing pain in her mind. Congratulations, Master. She got up with difficulty and saw that Lin Yu's aura still reached divine force law realm, second layered heaven. Turns out that Master cultivates divine force and cultivation at the same time. No wonder he's so powerful. Only then did Zhang Qingxue understand why Lin Yu's combat power was so strong. Indeed, one could not judge a person by their appearance. On the surface, Lin Yu's cultivation was only at first layered heaven, but the strength of his divine force was even more powerful than that of his second layered heaven. Master, there are still many things that you don't know. Lin Yu casually replied. Looking inside with his divine force, he actually discovered that there was an additional dragon vein in his body. Even though it was incomplete, it still contained a supreme intent. Supreme bloodline. This was the third good fortune that Lin Yu had obtained apart from the combination runes and the divine force dragon god law. In addition to the supreme blood obtained by the Azure Emperor sect and the supreme bone left behind by the number 1 on the blacklist, Lin Yu already had a third way to step into the supreme realm. Chapter 567. Moreover, these 3 methods were more powerful than the ordinary supreme being realm. The supreme being blood came from the 7-colored blood lotus and was nourished for 10,000 years. The supreme being bone was condensed from countless corpses in the Tao world. The supreme being bloodline was formed from the incomplete dragon bloodline of the torch dragon from 10,000 years ago. Anyone who stepped into the supreme being realm with any of these 3 methods will be much more powerful than ordinary supreme being realm experts. However, Lin Yu had all 3 at the same time. I still lack a supreme being soul. Maybe I can step into the perfect supreme being realm that hasn't appeared in 10,000 years. Lin Yu stopped thinking and left the underground world with Zhang Qingxue. As for his heavenly tribulation, since he had successfully broken through, it meant that the Ghost Emperor had solved his heavenly tribulation. If Lin Yu appeared in front of the Ghost Emperor now, he would probably be so angry that his Tao heart would become unstable. They left the underground world. After Lin Yu came out, the people of the vast Moon Dynasty had stopped comprehending. General Yang, you did well. The vast Moon King immediately came forward, and his gaze fell on Zhang Qingxue. You've overexerted yourself, Lin Yu said, and passed Zhang Qingxue to Zhang Sasha. The vast Moon King sized Zhang Qingxue up with his divine sense. Just as Lin Yu said, he was relieved. The providence that has been dormant for 10,000 years has been reawakened. This is all thanks to General Yang. Tell me, what kind of reward would you like? In the Dragon Palace, the vast Moon King was overjoyed and praised Lin Yu. Under the Providence Light Pillar, not only did his body feel refreshed, but his mood also seemed to be much better. Your Majesty, don't be happy too early. Lin Yu's words were like a splash of cold water on the vast Moon King's head. Unfortunately, he had to say it because the crisis of the vast Moon Dynasty had officially arrived. The vast Moon King's expression froze. General, what do you mean? The Providence soared into the sky and attracted the power of the stars of the Tsangling Dao world to gather here. Your Majesty, do you think that Tsangling 100 dynasties will sit still and watch you grow stronger? Lin Yu shrugged. I've already thought about this. After being a third-rate dynasty for so many years, I've also been sullen for so many years. To tell you the truth, the emperors of the other dynasties all look down on me. The vast Moon King muttered a few more words before he finally said coldly, Since the fortune is in my vast moon empire, then it belongs to my vast moon empire. If they want to snatch it, then let's fight. It's good that your majesty has such awareness. Lin Yu smiled faintly. Unfortunately, the ones coming this time are not as simple as one or two empires. Perhaps what? Vast Moon King's face became even more solemn. Maybe it's the 99 Dynasty's allied army attacking the Vast Moon Dynasty at the same time. Lin Yu's casual words made the Vast Moon King stand up from his throne. Are they crazy? If the Dao Master knows about this, no one will be able to escape responsibility. Lin Yu shrugged and smiled. First, there's Lin Yu, this clown who is worth a year's worth of great emperor comprehension. Then, because of the dragon-slaying war, all the heavenly talents of the 100 dynasties died in the ancient city, and now, he pointed at the Providence light pillar that connected the heavens and the earth opposite the Dragon Palace. This is where the providence of the Songling Dao world is. Your Majesty, do you think the other emperors of the 100 dynasties can still sit still? The Vast Moon King fell into silence. Lin Yu's words made sense. Whether it was to avenge the heavenly talents or for benefits, the 100 dynasties had too many reasons to send out their troops now. Great General, what should I do then? The Vast Moon King asked as if he was asking for help. Just a moment ago, he was still in high spirits, but now he was scared. Lin Yu knew the reason. At first, the Vast Moon King thought that only one or two dynasties would come to snatch the providence. But now, it was more likely that the 100 Dynasties Alliance would come together. This terrifying force was almost equivalent to the entire Songling Dao world. How could he not be afraid? There is a solution. Lin Yu smiled. Now, Your Majesty, you can make some preparations. Oh, the Vast Moon King looked at Lin Yu in surprise. Could it be that General Yang has another idea? We can only do our best and leave the rest to fate. I still say the same thing. Listen to me. After Lin Yu said that, the Vast Moon King nodded without thinking this time. Great General, you are in charge of 30 million troops. Of course, I believe you. Lin Yu paced in the Dragon Palace and pretended to be thinking. After half a cup of tea, he continued. First, open the heavenly teleportation formation that leads to the 9 worlds of the heavenly desert. Heavenly teleportation formation? The Vast Moon King was even more confused. The heavenly teleportation formation was the teleportation formation used by the Vast Moon Dynasty to leave the Songling Dao world. Now that the army might be coming, why open it? Your Majesty, just listen to me. I have consumed a lot of energy in the battle in the ancient city. Now I need a rest. After Lin Yu said that, he left the Dragon Palace without waiting for the Vast Moon King's reply. Seeing this, the Vast Moon King gritted his teeth. Since things have come to this, men. Back at the 7th Princess residence, Lin Yu saw that Zhang Qingxue had recovered a lot of blood qi. It's good that you're fine. Lin Yu comforted her. Zhang Qingxue only felt her heart was filled with warmth. She nodded and smiled. Thank you, Master. Rest well. Next, something more interesting will happen. Lin Yu seemed to have a deep meaning in his words and left Zhang Qingxue's room. Back at his residence, Lin Yu sat cross-legged to adjust. At this moment, in the state of 3 yuan as 1, he also needed to step into the second heaven as soon as possible. Otherwise, once the balance in his body was broken, the 3 yuan as 1 would be wasted. Lin Yu took out a large amount of obsidian bot and turned it into the obsidian power of the entire room, constantly pouring into his body. While he was adjusting, in the west of the Songling Dao world, the 9 Songs Dynasty and the Cold Sun Dynasty were approaching the Vast Moon Dynasty. At the same time, north, south, east, all around the Dao world, the 99 great dynasties were gathering toward the Vast Moon Dynasty at this moment. The people leading were from the Purple Cloud Dynasty. In the Dragon Palace, the Vast Moon King's palms were sweating. Yang Kai's words are too accurate. These bastards are here so soon. He had already found someone to set up a defensive spirit array. However, when the Vast Moon King raised his head, far behind the Vast Moon Dynasty in the starry sky, a vast and majestic army had already appeared outside the dynasty. At this moment, the leader of the 100 Empire Army, the Emperor Lord of the Purple Cloud Dynasty, was a white-haired old man. This person had white hair and a youthful face. After approaching the vast Moon Dynasty's star field, his gaze immediately fell on the Providence Light Pillar. It's indeed the Providence Light Pillar recorded in the ancestors' records. The white-haired old man muttered to himself. Beside him, a man and a woman also spoke one after another. How can the ancestors' providence be left in a barbaric place like the vast Moon Dynasty? The vast Moon Dynasty is already a thing of the past. The future depends on us, the top dynasties. Don't waste time. Take the Providence Light Pillar and Linyu and leave, lest we alarm the Tao Master. Chapter 568. The three of them exuded the aura of 4-star Supreme and above. Of the 7-star Supreme, the first 4 stars were known as Earth Sovereigns, and they could only display 4 sovereign intents. The last 3 stars were the legendary Sky Sovereigns, the strongest existence below Emperor Taoist Masters. Not only were the 3 of them Sky Sovereigns, but there were also Earth Sovereigns behind them. They were the emperors of the vast Moon Hunter dynasties, but at this moment they were led by the Purple Cloud Dynasty, Nine Tune Dynasty, and Chasing Cloud Dynasty. Behind the 99 emperors was the army of the 100 dynasties that attacked the vast Moon Dynasty. Obviously, they did not come out in full force, but the total number of people from the 99 dynasties was 1 billion. At this moment, the white-haired elder took a step forward, and his thunderous voice shook the sky. Vast Moon King, hand over Linyu and break your own light pillar of providence. I can spare you the death penalty for the 100 dynasties' prodigies. As his voice fell, he was arrogant and ignored the people of the vast Moon Dynasty. At this moment, his indifference fell into the eyes of the people of the vast Moon Dynasty below. Is the war about to start? Our vast Moon Dynasty has endured for so many years, but those people are still willing to let us go? Damn it! Why are there so many people? Are they trying to kill our vast Moon Dynasty? Then let's fight it out with them. The Providence has been formed, and it belongs to our vast Moon Dynasty. Why should we give it to them? They're not giving it to us, they're snatching it from us. Seeing the officials discussing, the vast Moon King braced himself and stepped forward. If you want to fight, then fight. How many years have I endured? With a roar, the vast Moon King had already stepped into the air. Below, the 30 million vast Moon Dynasty troops waited in formation. Even without Lin Yu's order, they still arranged themselves. In the sky, the vast Moon King looked at the white-haired elder of the Purple Cloud Dynasty. Old thing, are you here to snatch our lifeline today? So what if I am? The Purple Cloud Emperor sneered. Surrender if you know what's good for you. He looked at the army behind the vast Moon King in disdain. With these tens of millions of people, Zhang Wuliang, you've been in a gentle village for too long and haven't woken up yet. Purple Cloud Emperor was right. The Violet Cloud Emperor was right. They hadn't even started fighting, but the morale of the 30 million strong vast Moon army was already unstable. Against an army of 1 billion, if they really started fighting, these people would be like throwing eggs at a rock. Everyone in my army is brave and skilled in battle. None of them are afraid of death. Old thing, since you want to fight, then I'll accompany you. The vast Moon King said angrily. The Supreme will behind him exploded. His entire body turned into a ray of light in the sky and blasted towards the Purple Cloud Emperor. The younger generation will surpass us in time. Ever since your father's death, Zhang Wuliang has become bolder. The Purple Cloud Emperor laughed coldly and raised his palm. With a bang, their palms collided in midair. 2 mere strands of supreme beings will. You're digging your own grave. The Emperor of the Purple Cloud smiled disdainfully. He raised his hand, and 5 streams of supreme will fell. They crushed the vast Moon King, Zhang Wuliang's power, and forced it back. On the ground, the 30 million soldiers instantly felt a sense of oppression. It was the might of a heavenly sovereign. Damn it! Boom! The vast Moon King fell to the ground and spat out a mouthful of blood. At this moment, Queen Lingfei, Zhang Wudi, Zhang Sasa, Zhang Qingxue, and the other princes all appeared. Wuyang, you can't lose. Queen Lingfei's eyes were filled with tears. Everyone thought that she was worried about the vast Moon King. The queen, sigh, the love between husband and wife is deep. I thought that husband and wife are birds in the same forest. When disaster strikes, they fly away separately. I didn't expect the Queen and His Majesty's love to be so strong. Many people admired Queen Lingfei in their hearts. However, only Queen Lingfei knew that she was worried. If the vast Moon King died, then she and the vast Moon Dynasty would not be able to survive today. I didn't expect that we can't protect the vast Moon Dynasty when we just got the luck. A man's wealth is his own ruin. However, I didn't expect the 100 dynasties to be so shameless as to steal the luck of the vast Moon Dynasty. Then let's fight it out with them. In the sky, the purple cloud emperor laughed like an old bull. Zhang Wuyang, do you really think that your queen and son love you very much? Old thing, what do you mean? The vast Moon King's eyes narrowed slightly as he suppressed his injuries. However, at this moment, Queen Lingfei and Zhang Wudi's hearts tightened, and the hair on their backs stood up. Hee, Queen Lingfei, Zhang Wudi, do you want me to tell you about the shady business between you and the Purple Cloud Dynasty? The Purple Cloud Emperor's voice sounded. Queen Lingfei and Zhang Wudi felt an unprecedented crisis at the same time. That was the questioning gaze of everyone in the dynasty. Queen, what is he talking about? The vast Moon King's mouth was bleeding. He turned around and wanted to ask for an explanation. However, Queen Lingfei was already completely stunned. Her beautiful face was no longer filled with charm, but was instead filled with horror. It seems that she doesn't dare to say it. Then let me tell you. The Purple Cloud Emperor cackled. Zhang Wuyang, listen carefully. Your wife and child have been sending herbs to my Purple Cloud Empire for so many years. They have emptied your vast moon empire and given it all to my Purple Cloud Empire. As soon as these words came out, it was like a bolt of lightning descending. Everyone from the vast Moon Dynasty was enraged. Lingfei, Zhang Wudi, the vast Moon King stared at the two of them, but Lingfei had already turned around and ran away. Stay here, the vast Moon King roared. His 5 fingers formed a claw, and a monstrous anger caused by love turned into hatred directly formed a terrifying suction force. However, Lingfei ran too fast, and the only one left was Zhang Wudi. Father, please spare my life. I have my difficulties. Zhang Wudi rolled and crawled on the ground, begging desperately. Before the war, the two of you betrayed the country. If I don't kill you, how can I pacify the army? The vast Moon King's eyes were red, and his palm landed. Zhang Wudi spat out a few mouthfuls of blood, and his aura instantly weakened. On the other side, Lingfei, who had left the Dragon Palace at full speed, had arrived at the 7th princess residence. Your Highness, leave quickly. She staggered in. Now that the dynasty was in chaos, the palace maids did not have the time to care about her and had already fled in all directions. Lingfei quickly found Lin Yu's room. At this moment, Lin Yu had already finished his cultivation and was taking a bath in the bathtub. However, the door was knocked open by Lingfei. Your Highness, Lingfei did not care about what Lin Yu was doing. She immediately said, Your Highness, the 100 Empire army is here. His Majesty already knows that we colluded with the enemy. Leave quickly. There's no hurry. Lin Yu lay beside the bathtub, feeling the medicinal effects of the countless top-grade herbs in the water entering his body. Your Highness, Queen Lingfei's breathing was rapid, and she only calmed down when she pressed on her chest. Lin Yu said slowly, Have you forgotten what I did before? Chapter 569. Lingfei was stunned. Your Highness, are you talking about the poisoning? Lin Yu nodded. Queen Lingfei was enlightened. Your Highness, let's hurry up and let the poison take effect. She wanted to hold on to Lin Yu, but Lin Yu grabbed her and threw her into the bath. The medicine is a little too strong. Help me adjust it first. Lin Yu smirked and pressed down. Water splashed everywhere. Ling Fei held her breath in the water and could only follow Lin Yu's instructions. Lin Yu let go of her. He knew that Ling Fei could do it well. Lin Yu formed a seal with his hands and smiled. It's time to give the Purple Cloud Dynasty a surprise. Outside the Dragon Palace, Zhang Wudi told them his plan, but the Glowing Moon King did not believe him at all. The Purple Cloud Dynasty is good at alchemy. How could you poison them without them noticing? How dare you lie to me? Now, Zhang Wudi had admitted to colluding with the enemy. The Glowing Moon King wanted to kill this unfilial son of his. However, just as he raised his hand, the Emperor of the Purple Cloud Dynasty was still watching the show. A series of explosions rang out from the army on his body. The smell of blood filled the air. The Emperor of the Purple Cloud Dynasty turned around and saw that 10,000 people in his army had self-destructed. What's going on? The Emperor of the Purple Cloud Dynasty landed and appeared in front of one of them. What is this? The blood vessels on these people's faces collided. The blood-refining heart had broken through their internal organs and sea of qi. Without the control of the body, the glory qi exploded like a bomb. Rumble. Damn it. Even the Emperor of the Purple Cloud Dynasty had to retreat. 300,000. 1 million. 5 million. 10 million. All the soldiers of the Purple Cloud Dynasty had self-destructed. The Glowing Moon King and the others saw this scene. Their minds were buzzing, and they could not react at all. After a long time, Zhang Wudi laughed and pointed at the people of the Purple Cloud Dynasty. Father, look, I'm telling the truth. Mother, and I did not betray you. Well done. You did very well. The Vast Moon King laughed heartily. After releasing Zhang Wudi, he laughed even more maniacally. This was because he saw the extremely gloomy expression of Emperor Ziyun. Not only him, but the other emperors as well. The self-destruction of tens of millions of soldiers from the Purple Cloud Dynasty had affected more than 300 million soldiers. When they were surrounding the vast Moon Empire, they were standing very close to each other in the formation. At this moment, the successive explosions caused countless people from the other dynasties to be unable to dodge in time, causing countless casualties. Emperor Ziyun, you have to give us an explanation. Damn it. You people from the Purple Cloud Dynasty are poisonous. Sounds of internal strife could be heard from the 100 Empire Alliance. It's the Vast Moon King's doing. It has nothing to do with me. Emperor Ziyun cursed out loud. However, he was shocked in his heart. There must be something wrong with the herbs that Vast Moon Empire brought over. But why would there be a problem? He had already checked those herbs. Who had such great ability to deceive everyone under his nose and finally deal such a fatal blow to the Purple Cloud Dynasty? His killing intent filled the air as he said to Bai Chao, "Everything will be fine once we get rid of the Vast Moon King." After saying that, Emperor Ziyun immediately attacked. Given the current situation, he could only take down the Vast Moon King first. Old thief Ziyun, even if I die today, I can rest in peace. The Vast Moon King laughed. Based on the heavy blow he had dealt to the Purple Cloud Dynasty today, he could already foresee that the Purple Cloud Dynasty would end up like the Vast Moon Empire in the future. You deserve to die. Emperor Ziyun gritted his teeth as if he was going to swallow the Vast Moon King whole. 5 supreme wills gathered and turned into a dark brown, sky-devouring python, charging towards the Vast Moon King. However, just as the Vast Moon King was about to defend himself, he saw the sky-devouring python explode in the air. 10 feet, 100 feet, 10,000 feet. The huge body shattered in the air, and a fishy smell filled the air. Emperor Ziyun immediately felt that something was wrong. There's something wrong with the energy-gathering pill. He suddenly understood, but it was too late. Emperor Ziyun looked down at his heart. There, the last blood sacrifice heart refining pill was exploding. Zhang Wuliang doesn't have such great ability. Who are you? Who are you? Emperor Ziyun roared. His old eyes widened as he channeled all his heavenly supreme cultivation into his heart. However, no matter how high his cultivation was, He would not be able to live if his battle body was destroyed. The 100 Empire army felt that something was wrong, but no one dared to step forward. In an instant, Emperor Ziyun's white robe was dyed red. Bang, bang, bang. A deafening sound came from his body. That was the blood sacrifice heart refining pill, destroying his battle body. No, no, I can't accept this. Rumble. The last loud sound was heard. Even many of the 100 Empire army at the front were affected by Emperor Ziyun's explosion and lost their lives. The self-destruction of a heavenly supreme, in everyone's eyes, was like thousands of lightning bolts exploding in the sky. This scene made everyone in the vast Moon Dynasty surprised. However, the people of the 100 Empire army still felt a lingering fear. What's going on? For trash like the vast Moon Empire, why did they lose their strongest main force before we even attacked them? The army's morale was not good. Even the remaining 98 emperors looked serious, because they did not know if the terrifying self-destruction trap only appeared in the Purple Cloud Dynasty. If it also happened to them, then the lives of the 100 Empire army would be in the hands of the vast Moon Dynasty. The atmosphere was in a stalemate. Meanwhile, in the 7th princess's residence, Queen Ling Fei had been underwater for 6 hours before she finally emerged from the water. Her hair was wet and draped over her shoulders. It seemed that because of Lin Yu's torment, the original ornaments on the queen's head were all gone. The current Queen Ling Fei seemed to have returned to her original appearance. It was less gaudy, but more charming. Ugh! After swallowing the thing in her mouth, Queen Ling Fei leaned into Lin Yu's arms. The latter did not expect that. The hundreds of millions of soldiers outside would die under the blood sacrifice heart refining pill, and his hundreds of millions of soldiers would die in the mouth of Queen Ling Fei. Your Highness, looking at Ling Fei's face full of enjoyment, Lin Yu was helpless. It's about time to go out. The vast Moon King should be very grateful to you. Your Highness, what did you do? Queen Ling Fei's beautiful eyes opened wide. She was clearly doing something with Lin Yu just now. Why did Lin Yu say such strange things now? Qi Gathering Pill is a medicinal pill that the people of the Purple Cloud Dynasty must take every day. And among the herbs that I let Woody bring, those that were poisoned, most of them were Qi Gathering Pills. Lin Yu explained casually, the herbs have already been sent for 3 days. These 3 days are enough for everyone to be poisoned. Their poison has already acted up. Queen Ling Fei did not know what blood sacrifice heart refining pill was, but the meaning of being poisoned she could still understand. Chapter 570. As Lin Yu plays with her, he smiles. I have already detonated all the poison. Not only the vast Moon Empire's army, even the Purple Cloud Empire's army, except for the mortals who don't need to take the energy-gathering pill. Most of the others should be dead by now. His expression is calm, and there is no emotion in his words. Queen Ling Fei is so frightened that her heart tightens. She suddenly feels that this man is very unfamiliar. According to Queen Ling Fei's understanding, if Lin Yu's words are true, then in the past 6 hours, he has killed thousands of people. But in Lin Yu's words, she can't see any pity or care. It is as if in Lin Yu's eyes, she is just joking with him. What's wrong? Lin Yu asks indifferently. Queen Ling Fei shakes her head gently and leans on Lin Yu again. I just feel that the prince is a little different. She suddenly has a bad feeling, a woman's intuition. Lin Yu is too overbearing and too powerful. At first, Queen Ling Fei was able to convince herself that it was because the prince of this life had become more powerful. But after Lin Yu's schemes, time and time again, she finally understands that this man is not her prince. He is too powerful and too ruthless. I am very happy to be able to meet the prince again. As Queen Ling Fei speaks, she hugs Lin Yu even tighter. Prince, will you still leave me? Lin Yu smiles faintly. How can he not understand that Queen Ling Fei has discovered something? Pretending to be alone for a day or two is still okay. After a long time, people are not plants. How can they be emotionless? Especially for a sensitive woman like Queen Ling Fei, she will naturally notice some clues. Looks like you know. Lin Yu's voice falls into Ling Fei's ears, and the latter trembles even more. She immediately shakes her head in Lin Yu's arms. I don't know anything, and I don't want to know. She purses her lips. At this moment, perhaps she has never seen the real prince. That was the appearance of a young girl who had just fallen in love. Even though Ling Fei was no longer a young girl, in front of Lin Yu, she still felt her heart throbbing. This concubine doesn't care. You will always be the prince. She hugged him even tighter. Lin Yu smiled. After a long while, he comforted Ling Fei and asked her to let go of him before putting on his clothes. Where is your highness going? Dragon Palace. Lin Yu only felt that his condition had reached the most perfect state, especially with the help of Queen Ling Fei. Under the influence of the harmonization law, the 5 laws in his body complemented each other. Now, his combat power was probably comparable to an earthly sovereign. Your highness is too dangerous, Queen Ling Fei said worriedly. However, Lin Yu shook his head. He knew the people of the 100 dynasties too well. This group of people valued material gains and were most afraid of death. Lin Yu had purposely set up a trap and killed the people of the Purple Cloud dynasty first as a warning to others. Before the people of the 100 dynasties figured out whether or not they were affected by the blood sacrifice heart refinement, they would not act rashly. This was not. Lin Yu opened the door. He saw a dark mass in the sky. The army was still watching from the sky, which meant that the battle had not yet begun. Go back to your own palace and wait for the vast Moon King to coax you, Lin Yu said. Queen Ling Fei's face was full of reluctance. She only felt that by Lin Yu's side, there was a sense of security that she did not need to be afraid of even if the sky fell. Therefore, at the thought of being separated from him, Queen Ling Fei's feet were incomparably heavy, and she was unwilling to take even half a step. General, you go first. Ling Fei will follow after, Queen Ling Fei said. After listening, Lin Yu did not care much and turned to the Dragon Palace. His next goal was to lure out the person who could fight against the Ghost Emperor. Now it was nearing the end. After watching Lin Yu leave, Queen Ling Fei suddenly felt a sense of loss. It was difficult for her to move forward, but she was also heading towards the palace. Outside the Dragon Palace, vast Moon King sat cross-legged in meditation, and in the sky, the people of the 100 Empire were ready to attack, but no one dared to take the lead. Zhang Wuliang voluntarily handed over the light pillar and Lin Yu, and we can retreat immediately. There's no need to let your hundreds of millions of subjects die with you. Zhang Wuliang, the vast Moon Empire's destiny is over. Do you need us to say more? Below, the people of the vast Moon Empire witnessed the self-destruction of the Purple Cloud Emperor and his army, and their confidence had long been greatly boosted. Fight if you have the ability. Do you think I, Zhang Wuliang, am afraid of you? While speaking, Vast Moon King's back was already drenched in sweat. It was just that he braced himself for these few hours. My son, are you sure you only poisoned the people of the Purple Cloud Empire? Your son is sure. Sigh. Vast Moon King shook his head helplessly. He really wanted Zhang Wudi to tell him that he poisoned the Songling 100 Empire. Unfortunately, this was ultimately a fantasy. Vast Moon King was not a fool. He naturally understood that the people of the 100 Empire were afraid of him now only because they were still checking themselves. Once they confirmed that there was no poison in his body, they would launch an all-out attack at the first moment. At that time, it would be the end of the vast Moon Empire. Your Majesty, even if we die together, we will not surrender. Vast Moon has waited for 10,000 years for this opportunity. Why should we give it to this group of bastards? Your Majesty, please let this subject live and die with Vast Moon. Everyone kept kneeling. Facing the remaining 700 million soldiers of the 100 Empire, not only did these people not have the initial fear, instead, they became even more ruthless. Your Majesty, this subject is willing to live and die with Vast Moon. 1,000. Your Majesty, this subject is willing to live and die with Vast Moon. 100,000. 1,000,000. Your Majesty, this subject is willing to live and die with vast moon. Thousands of high-spirited voices spread throughout the vast moon empire. Vast Moon King's tears flowed down his face. He was extremely moved. However, he understood that even if the army was not afraid of death, the survival of Vast Moon Empire was only a matter of time. If only that little brat Yongkai was here. Vast Moon King wanted to help, but he was powerless. The first person he thought of was Lin Yu. However, just as the Vast Moon King spoke, a figure slowly walked over from the distance. General Yang, Master, Yang Kai, the ministers of the 100 Empire, Zhang Qingxue, Zhang Sasha, and Zhang Wudi, who was muttering "Father" in his heart. All of them saw Yang Kai's figure. Others did not know, but Zhang Wudi was very clear. Even if Lin Yu did not appear just now. In fact, the person who saved them was Lin Yu. Greetings, great general. Greetings, great general. All the ministers knelt down. Even Vast Moon King, who dragged his injuries, still stood up and bowed to Lin Yu. You little brat, this emperor has finally waited for you to come. I delayed some things. Lin Yu smiled casually, thinking of Queen Ling Fei's charming appearance. Sai, let's not talk about it. I want to make some preparations. Vast Moon King was overjoyed. Great general already has a countermeasure. Chapter 571. You can say that. Lin Yu touched his chin. Is the sky-piercing array ready? Vast Moon King assisted Lin Yu like a little brother. He nodded and said, It has been activated according to the Great General's arrangements. As long as the Great General says the word, it can be used immediately. However, guessing Lin Yu's thoughts, Vast Moon King said hesitantly, If the Great General wants to bring us to escape through the sky-piercing array, I'm afraid it will be a little difficult. Zhang Qingxue and the others saw this and also gathered around. Master, we can't run. The 7th princess is right. Is there any other way, General? Lin Yu is helpless. The sky-piercing array is not for us to escape. It is for someone from outside that Songling Dao world to come in. Could that person be the helper that the Great General found? Vast Moon King asked in surprise. You can say that. Lin Yu nodded. However, Vast Moon King and the others were in a dilemma. Great General, the 100 Empire Coalition Army is extremely powerful. How can one person turn the situation around? That's right. Even if the Great General's helpers are supremes like His Majesty, they are still opponents. There are still 99 Supreme Emperors in the 100 Empire Coalition Army. 2 of them are even legendary heavenly sovereigns. Everyone immediately rejected Lin Yu's idea. Shut up. The Great General naturally has his reasons, Zhang Wudi said angrily. Zhang Wudi said angrily. These people didn't know that his life was saved by his father, and now they dare to question Lin Yu. How could Zhang Wudi tolerate this? Vast Moon King was obviously much gentler. Great General, you don't have to blame them. However, I am also confused. Ordinary helpers really won't work. Lin Yu smiled. What if it is the Vast Abyss Sect Master? The Vast Abyss Sect Master. When these 4 words fell into everyone's ears, it was like a thunderbolt exploding. The Great Emperor Balance was at the Dao Master level. This level was the highest existence in the Sky Desert universe. The Great General's helper is the Vast Abyss Sect Master. No. Why is the Vast Abyss Sect Master here? He has always been at odds with our Songling Dao world. However, if it's really a Dao Lord, then the calamity of my Vast Moon Dynasty today might really be easily resolved. If the Vast Abyss Sect Master has appeared, will our Sect Master Song Ling appear as well? The ministers were in an uproar. Even the Vast Moon King, Zhang Wudi, and the others were stunned on the spot. For a moment, they did not know what to do. Vast Abyss Dao Lord? General, please don't joke around. How could a Dao Lord be so easily invited over? The Vast Moon King shook his head repeatedly and let out a long sigh. To tell you the truth, other Dao Masters might be able to come, but the Vast Abyss Dao world and our Songling Dao world have a feud. It's even more impossible for the Vast Abyss Dao Master to help me. Lin Yu smiled. Of course, he's not here to help you. He's here to look for someone. As soon as he said this, everyone immediately thought of the same name. Lin Yu. The vast Abyss Dao World's wanted poster, and the Dao Lord had personally used the Great Emperor's comprehension as bait. Lin Yu. This was also the purpose of the 100 Empire Coalition armies' visit this time. Their interests came first, and taking revenge for the 100 Empire prodigies was naturally just an excuse. Their ultimate goal was still Lin Yu and the light pillar of Providence, especially Lin Yu. For a heavenly sovereign, he was only one step away from the balanced Great Emperor realm. If he could obtain the help of the Great Emperor's comprehension, the difficulty of taking this step would be greatly reduced. Even for the 100 Empire Emperors, compared to the light pillar of Providence, what they wanted more was Lin Yu. This was a good fortune that could produce immediate results. I understand now. General, using the fake Lin Yu to lure the vast Abyss Dao Master into action. This plan does indeed have a chance to let the Dao Lord in. The vast Moon King patted his knee and shook his head. Unfortunately, who is the vast Abyss Dao Master? He's not as gullible as the young prodigies previously. General, this plan might still be difficult. It's not difficult because this time, it's the real Lin Yu. As soon as Lin Yu finished speaking, he walked towards the heaven-connecting array. Zhang Qingshue's heartbeat quickened. She realized that her master was going to expose himself this time. Her master was too noble to expose his identity in exchange for a chance of survival for the people of the vast Moon Empire. Master, the ministers were puzzled, and so was the vast Moon King. What did he mean by the real Lin Yu? They had searched the entire vast Moon Empire, but they could not find the real Lin Yu. They were not the only ones. If the 100 Empire Alliance army outside could find Lin Yu, why would they be so arrogant? One of the reasons why they were here was because of a Yu massacre assembly previously, which made the people of the 100 Empire Alliance think that Lin Yu was in the vast Moon Empire. However, at this moment, when Lin Yu stood on the heaven-connecting array, his appearance changed as well. The people of the vast Moon Empire were not the only ones who saw it. Even the people of the 100 Empire Alliance army were staring at the heaven-connecting array that was spinning wildly. Idiot, do you think you can escape with a mere heaven-connecting array? Send someone to stop him outside. The people of the vast Moon Empire are indeed cowards. I didn't expect them to run away so soon. However, in the next moment, hundreds of millions of pairs of eyes saw the changes on Lin Yu's face. From the original great General Yang, he had changed into a different face. It was a face that everyone wanted. Lin Yu, the vast Moon King, felt as if he was struck by lightning. He was not the only one. All the ministers of the vast Moon Empire were the same. Apart from Zhang Qingxue, everyone's mind was in turmoil at this moment. Lin Yu. General Yang is Lin Yu. They had been searching for so long, the mysterious person that the vast Abyss Dao Master had personally ordered to be wanted. The Lin Yu that they had only seen in portraits and could not find at all. He had appeared in front of them at this moment. And he was the General Yang Kai who was in charge of the 30 million troops of the vast Moon Empire. Take him down, take him down. He is Lin Yu. The great Emperor's year of enlightenment has finally appeared. The 100 Empire Alliance army was like an arrow on a bow, ready to attack the vast Moon Empire at any time. They all stared greedily at Lin Yu, like a pack of wolves surrounding a sheep. Protect Lin Yu. The vast Moon King laughed and wanted to escape in a self-deprecating manner. You little brat, you tricked me. The 30 million troops surrounded the heaven-connecting array. At this moment, Lin Yu followed the teleportation light of the heaven-connecting array and looked outside Tsang Lingdao World. There, an old man also noticed the teleportation array. On the other side, he suddenly felt Lin Yu's aura. The two of them were separated by countless stars, but their eyes met just like that. Finally, I found you. The Ghost Emperor laughed as his gaze fell on the heaven-connecting array that connected him and Lin Yu. As long as this king is fast enough, I can take you away before Great Emperor Tsang Ling notices. He narrowed his eyes. The Emperor artifact that he had been waiting for 10,000 years was now in his reach. This temptation made the ghost emperor willing to take the risk. Chapter 572. The Zhongling Dao world was about to undergo a drastic change. At this moment, in a star field far away from the Zhongling Dao world, it was indeed unusually calm. This Dao world was covered in snow all year round. It was as if there was no spring, summer, or autumn, only eternal winter. This place was called Jade Silk. In the Jade Silk Dao world, a huge sect was burning with raging flames at this moment. The flames were divided into 9 colors: black, white, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, and purple. 9 colored flames were constantly erupting. Its temperature was so high that it melted all the ice and snow within a radius of 10,000 miles. 9 colored flames are the flames with the highest temperature. Why is it useless? Even 10,000 years of ice and snow have melted, but it can't even refine a broken mirror. Outside the 9-colored flame, an old woman in an imperial robe had a solemn expression. Her wrinkled face was staring coldly at the silver-white mirror floating above the 9-colored flame. The mirror's surface was shattered, and it seemed to be a useless treasure. However, under the 9-colored flame, it still shone with a brilliant light. Inside another sleeping chamber in this place, a stunning woman slowly opened her eyes. In front of her was a woman in a Taoist robe. "Junior sister, there's news. The person who held the Yu slaughtering convention is called Yang Kai. I heard that he's from the low-key sect and is the martial uncle of Boundless Moon Dynasty's Zhang Qingxue." "Thank you, senior sister." The stunning woman nodded slowly with a smile. However, a ripple that others could not detect flashed in her eyes. It was a kind of excitement. However, she cannot show it. She did not dare to show it. Yang Kai, low-key sect. There's no mistake, she thought in her heart. The person she prayed for every day was from the low-key sect. Changing his name to Yang Kai and holding the great slaughter of Yu dynasty to play with the entire world in the palm of his hand was something he had always enjoyed doing. "Lin Yu, I miss you so much." The stunning woman suppressed her longing for Lin Yu. Suddenly, she felt something sweet in her throat and spat out a mouthful of blood. She was called Li Jun, but Lin Yu preferred to call her Little Mimi. "Come, put junior sister's blood essence into a container." The so-called senior apprentice sister in front of him suddenly revealed a strange and cold smile. Then, the 3 women came in again. She patted Little Mimi's back lightly. A hidden force was transmitted over, and the former coughed up another mouthful of blood. "That's not enough. Strike one more time so that junior sister's blood chi can flow smoothly." The senior sister's gaze was like a venomous snake. Seeing Little Mimi spit out 2 more mouthfuls of blood, her face immediately turned pale. "Junior sister, you won't die, right?" Senior apprentice sister's seemingly gentle inquiry was even more vicious than any sharp and poisonous words. Little Mimi could only force a smile and wipe away the blood at the corner of her mouth. "Thank you, senior sister. I feel much better now. Try it again. Don't make master wait too long." The senior martial sister ignored the little girl and instructed the others in a low voice. The 3 women immediately left. He muttered to himself, "I've spat out so much blood today. Why can't I undo that broken mirror? Who knows? Even with master's help, he still can't open the mirror. This girl is too cheap. She won't tell us the secret of the mirror. Let's see how much more blood she can bleed." In the room, Little Mimi sat cross-legged in meditation. The senior martial sister in front of her stood with her hands behind her back and sneered. "Junior sister, I've brought you the news. I wonder when you'll be willing to unravel the secret of the silver mirror? My power hasn't recovered yet. How can I undo it?" Little Mimi didn't open her eyes. "Senior martial sister, please tell master that haste makes waste. If he wants to know the secret of the silver mirror, please wait for me to recover my power." "Haha. Then junior martial sister, you have to work hard." With a cold snort, the senior martial sister's expression was strange. She thought that if she let you recover your power, wouldn't she be in trouble? She clearly remembered that the last before her possessed the cultivation of a half-step utmost supreme when she first met her. Little Mimi didn't speak anymore. The senior marshal's sister also knew that now wasn't the time to kill her. She waved her hand and left. As for outside the door, there were 37 formations set up. Once little Mimi dared to step out, she would die immediately. The room returned to darkness again. Little Mimi's eyes were filled with tears. The emotions that she had suppressed in her heart suddenly exploded. Outside the Tsang Ling Dao world, Lin Yu sensed that outside the heaven-connecting formation, the Ghost Emperor was approaching him at an extremely terrifying speed. Go to the heavenly prison. Lin Yu turned his head and ordered the 30 million army. These people came under the orders of the vast Moon King. The current Lin Yu is still their great general. After Lin Yu gave the order, the vast Moon army all burst out and rushed towards the heavenly prison. Don't let them escape. Capture Lin Yu first. According to the intelligence, this person is cunning and likes men. His cultivation is extremely strong. Everyone be careful. Why did I hear that Lin Yu's cultivation is very weak, but he's good at scheming? He's especially good at using men to create conflict. It's hard to say. I heard that this person has 72 transformations. You guys saw it just now? He can actually change his appearance. Damn it, Lin Yu is too cunning. The more cunning a person is, the more excited I am. No idea when these people went to analyze Lin Yu on their own. Even if they had never seen Lin Yu before, their understanding of Lin Yu is also clear and logical. Among them, there was no lack of some charlatans deceiving the world to gain fame, bewitching the masses with fallacious words. After all, Lin Yu, this fat piece of meat, was also extremely tempting to even the high and mighty emperors, resulting in these people having long already compiled a bunch of gossip about Lin Yu, spreading it wildly within the 100 dynasties. Everyone's target was only Lin Yu, but it gave the rest of the vast Moon dynasty a ray of hope. The majority of the army already started escaping to the heavenly prison. Lin Yu seized the opportunity. When the 100 dynasties people attacked, the instant countless laws and supreme intent descended. The black-feathered wings on his back unfolded, and his speed went full speed. In a blink of an eye, his entire person already appeared 10,000 feet away. How could the 100 dynasties people let him off? However, right at the instant they passed by the heaven-connecting formation, inside that array formation's teleportation light, an old man's figure suddenly appeared. Who else could this person be if not the Ghost Emperor? It was just at the moment the Ghost Emperor descended, before he had time to grab Lin Yu. Densely packed supreme intent and laws came down with a rumble above his head. Damn it, there's indeed a trick. The Ghost Emperor's entire person was unwell. Karma operated in equilibrium. Emperor pressure gathered in his hands. Incantation of clouds and rain. The Ghost Emperor's eyes were full of fury. Rotating in equilibrium, those attacks that rushed towards him were actually all reflected back by him. Rumble. The 100 Dynasties' army suffered heavy casualties. Who is it? So strong. This person's skill is above heavenly supreme. Everyone from 100 Dynasties was dumbfounded. However, when those 98 emperors saw the situation, their minds immediately rumbled. The power of a great emperor. Damn it, why would a Dao Lord-level powerhouse appear? Not Dao Lord Songling. Who is he? Chapter 573. The people of the 100 Empire wailed incessantly. The Ghost Emperor's eyes were bloodshot. If you can't find Lin Yu, all of you will die. Bastard, fight it out with him. With 90 supreme wills combined. So what if a Dao Master is here? The supreme realm of the 100 Empire was also forced into a corner. They had suppressed themselves for a day. First, Lin Yu's blood sacrifice was a warning to others. They had been fearful for a few hours before they confirmed that they were not poisoned by the self-destruction poison. At this moment, Lin Yu had clearly appeared, but they were blocked by a mysterious powerhouse again. Not only were the people of the 100 Empire furious, even the Ghost Emperor was furious. especially when Lin Yu scolded him under the heaven-connecting array. Now that he had come down to capture Lin Yu, he was surrounded and beaten by so many people. The Ghost Emperor would definitely use blood to wash away this anger. On the other side, outside the heavenly prison, everyone from the Boundless Moon Dynasty walked into the teleportation array one after another. The entrance to the underground world connected to the light pillar of providence had been resealed by the Boundless Moon King, so the only entrance to the ancient city was the heavenly prison's stone bed. At this moment, countless people poured into the ancient city. The Boundless Moon King led the ministers and mortals into the teleportation array's light and disappeared from the battlefield above. However, Queen Ling Fei, Zhang Wudi, Zhang Qingxue, and Zhang Sasha did not enter immediately. Master Yang Kai, no, you're Lin Yu. Zhang Qingxue and Zhang Sasha muttered as they stared in the direction of the Dragon Palace. Only then did everyone know that Lin Xian and Yang Kai were fake. Zhang Qingxue's master was Lin Yu from the beginning to the end, and in the direction where they looked, they could smell the fluctuations of the battle accompanied by the smell of blood. The real war had begun, but what they were worried about was why Lin Yu had not come out yet. Great General, is he Lin Yu? When Queen Ling Fei learned of this matter, she was sure of her own thoughts. Even if you're not the real prince, this concubine still loves you. Queen Ling Fei held Zhang Wudi and Zhang Sasha's hands tightly. Her fair and flawless skin was comparable to Zhang Qingxue and her sister. The four of them waited worriedly, watching as everyone from the vast Moon Dynasty entered the underground world. Oh no, I'm going to find Master. I'm going to. Zhang Qingxue and Zhang Sasha spoke one after another. Wait, don't cause trouble for the general. Queen Ling Fei's commanding tone rang out, stopping the two girls. Imperial Mother, Zhang Sasha's eyes were filled with tears. Seeing this, Queen Ling Fei shook her head and said in a much gentler tone, "The Grand General is very powerful. No one is more confident than him in escaping safely. If we go to find him now, we might distract the Grand General." Even though the three of them were still burning with anxiety, they could not deny that what Queen Ling Fei said was the truth. Even Queen Ling Fei, who was comforting others, was so nervous that her hands were sweating. Lin Yu, you can't die. Even if he was not Her Royal Highness. Ling Fei had to admit that she had fallen in love with Lin Yu. There were not many women who could reject such an outstanding man who knew how to flirt. Where's the Grand General? Outside the teleportation circle, the vast Moon King had settled the people of the dynasty and actually came out to wait for Lin Yu. However, after he came out, his wife and children ignored him. Fortunately, under the worried gazes of the five people, a black wing arrived outside the prison with extreme speed. It was Lin Yu, who had escaped from the battle. Grand General, Lin Yu, Master. Lin Yu turned around and looked at the world that had turned into a purgatory. He narrowed his eyes. That guy can really endure it. His own territory has turned into such a state, and he still hasn't shown himself. Lin Yu muttered to himself. Then, he entered the ancient city with the other five. Vast Moon Ancient City. At this moment, there were hundreds of millions of people densely packed together, including the vast Moon Dynasty's army and mortals. Have you been saved? Outside, there's a huge commotion outside. When the vast Moon King appeared, all the people who survived knelt down in unison. Grand General, what's the situation now? The vast Moon King was not in the mood to care about other things. He just held Lin Yu's hand and asked worriedly. I lured the vast Abyss sect master here and made him fight with the people of the 100 dynasties. A simple sentence, but it made everyone tremble with fear. Vast Abyss sect master. 100 dynasties coalition army. Any faction could kill them all. However, because of Lin Yu, they could actually escape from the battle between these two factions. I have some reasons for the 100 dynasties coalition army attacking Vast Moon. I hope that the Vast Moon King can forgive me. At this moment, Lin Yu bowed to the Vast Moon King and took the initiative to bear his responsibility. However, he who saved everyone. How could the Vast Moon King dare to make him apologize? He dared to accept it, but the hundreds of millions of people of Vast Moon who already knew the truth did not dare to accept it. Moreover, the Vast Moon King's wife and children were also included. Looking at their expressions, the Vast Moon King also knew that they all now regarded Lin Yu as a great hero. If the Vast Moon King dared to accept Lin Yu's apology now, that would be incurring public anger. Even a dignified emperor did not dare to incur public anger when everyone was in trouble. Thinking of this, the Vast Moon King had a look of awe-inspiring righteousness as he grabbed Lin Yu's hands that were about to bow. "You're too serious, Grand General. Even if it wasn't for you, those bastards of the 100 Dynasties would have found an opportunity to attack Vast Moon Dynasty. Therefore, the matter of the coalition army has nothing to do with you, Grand General." The Vast Moon King praised again. Moreover, Vast Moon Dynasty was facing a catastrophe. If Grand General had not lured the Vast Abyss Sect Master here and made them fight like ghosts, I'm afraid that my Vast Moon Dynasty would have ceased to exist now. He patted Lin Yu's shoulder. This time was not like the last time, probing with the supreme will. Instead, it was purely because he valued Lin Yu. "Grand General, not only did you not do anything wrong, but you've also made a great contribution in saving the country. After today's catastrophe, I suggest that we become sworn brothers. What do you think, Grand General?" Lin Yu blinked, thinking that the Vast Moon King was too dramatic. However, in a free combination of factors, he really became a king? No! Lin Yu immediately blocked the Vast Moon King with one hand. "Wasn't the previous king killed by you, old emperor? I'm the Vast Moon Dynasty's Grand General, responsible for protecting the dynasty. It's my duty to do my job well. How can I become sworn brothers with the emperor?" He shook his head repeatedly. He did not want to be a king. "All right, Grand General, don't be arrogant. With you in my dynasty, what's so difficult about becoming the first dynasty in Songling in the future?" If Lin Yu really agreed to become sworn brothers with him, the Vast Moon King might continue to be wary of him. However, now that Lin Yu took the initiative to reject him, he gave the Vast Moon King a way out. This action made the Vast Moon King have a good impression of him again. Lin Yu was not in the mood to care about the Vast Moon King's little scheme. At this moment, everyone was still sitting cross-legged to rest. There were also many mortals who directly fell asleep. After sending the Vast Moon King away, Lin Yu's gaze fell on the depths of the ancient city. The place where the combination talisman was originally located was now empty. Lin Yu's lips curled up, his body shifted, and when no one noticed, he arrived in front of the combination talisman. In front of him stood a hunchbacked woman. Lin Yu said calmly, "You finally appeared." Chapter 574. I was curious why Tsang Yuan did not hesitate to issue a warrant to capture you. The hunchbacked old woman did not turn around. Her gaze was fixed on the original position of the talisman. "Now I understand." She took a step forward and pressed her hand on the talisman that was once thousands of feet tall. At that moment, there was only a 1,000-foot stone wall left. The most important divine item, the talisman, was taken away by Lin Yu. The moment the hunchbacked old woman pressed her hand, a strange white light vaguely flowed out from her body that was less than 5 feet tall. The white light was like a cyclone, slowly rotating. The hunchbacked old woman was quickly drowned in it. "For 100,000 years, my ancestor Tsang Ling could not take it away, but you took it away. You are indeed a genius." Her voice sounded again. Lin Yu smiled. He could see the emperor's aura of balance in the white light. The hunchbacked old woman, like the ghost emperor, was a top powerhouse of the Emperor of Balance Realm. At that moment, the Vast Moon King and the others also rushed over. The moment they faced the white light, their minds buzzed. "Emperor!" The Vast Moon King was shocked again. The moment his supreme will looked at the white light, it was immediately suppressed. Sky Desert Universe. Only the Emperor's aura could suppress the supreme will in an instant. General Yang. Who? Who is she? The Vast Moon King had long noticed Lin Yu's presence. Obviously, Lin Yu was the first person to notice the hunchbacked old woman. If it were not for Lin Yu, This old woman might be the most inconspicuous person among the mortals. Her body was weak, her appearance was old, and she had no cultivation. No one would pay attention to such a person. However, this old woman had unleashed a power that even the vast Moon King was afraid of. She is someone who has mastered the great path of balance. Lin Yu smiled faintly and reminded the vast Moon King, "You should kneel to her. After all, she is the master of Songling Dao world." Master, the vast Moon King, Zhang Wudi, Queen Ling Fei, Zhang Sasha, and everyone's breathing suddenly quickened. Song, Ling, Sect Master Song Ling. The vast Moon King stared at the other party. The Sect Master is elusive. Are you really the Sect Master? His gaze was heavy as he approached. His legs were already bent as he knelt down. No one could impersonate the Tao Lord. Because of the balanced emperor's might that only great emperors possessed, that kind of power that even sovereign was nothing more than dust in front of, was enough to prove the other party's identity. I am Zhang Wuliang of the vast Moon Dynasty from the Songling Dao world. Greetings to the Dao Master. The sound of vast Moon King kowtowing could be heard. Seeing that, the others did the same. Even the vast Moon King could only kneel, so how could they dare to stand? The Dao Master has descended. How you am saved. Zhang Wuliang shouted. He was moved to tears. In addition to him, Ling Fei, and the others, even the ministers of the boundless Moon Kingdom, dropped to their knees after being aware of the unusual situation. Dao Lord has appeared. We're saved. The Dao Master is definitely here to punish the people of the 100 dynasties. I knew it. How could Lord Dao Lord allow the members of the other dynasties to wantonly harm us? Hundreds of millions of people knelt down one after another. The white light around the hunchbacked old woman slowly disappeared. There was a long silence. She did not speak. Vast Moon King and everyone else prostrated themselves on the ground. When she shook her head and sighed, she turned around. Her deep gaze that had experienced countless years finally met Lin Yu's eyes. Only Lin Yu was still standing. In this underground world, it seemed that only Lin Yu could look her in the eyes. It's the incompetence of the descendants of the Songling Dao world that allowed you to take away the supreme treasure. Her voice was heard. Vast Moon King and the others did not dare to make sound, because they knew that these words were not meant for them to hear. I can only take it away with Senior's permission. Lin Yu spread out his hands. The great freedom is balanced and changes according to one's heart. Whether it's time, space, life, and death, it's all within Senior's thoughts. If Senior did not allow it, Lin Yu might have died here long ago. You're quite sensible. The hunchbacked old woman smiled faintly. She knew that Lin Yu was flattering her. Perhaps if one cultivated the great Emperor Zhuheng realm to the great Emperor realm, they would have the power to decide life and death with a single thought. But obviously, she had not reached that level yet. Don't worry, it has already recognized you as its master. Even if I want to take it back, it's useless. Lin Yu did not speak, but he knew that this person had already seen the process of Lin Yu taking away the combination talisman with a great freedom equalization Emperor's might. Did you lure the vast abyss Dao Master here to force me to make a move? The hunchbacked old woman spoke again. Lin Yu did not hide his motive at all. That's right. Unfortunately, Senior's patience is beyond my understanding. I didn't expect you to still have the mind to be here. His seemingly mocking words made vast Moon King and the others on the ground sweat profusely. General Lin, don't speak nonsense. If a great emperor is angry, all of us here will die. Vast Moon King kept shouting in his heart, but he did not dare to say a word. He did not dare to send a voice transmission to Lin Yu in front of Dao Master Songling. Once he was seen through, what awaited him might be a dead end. Death is often rebirth. The 9 realms have been peaceful for too long. The people of Songling Dao world only know how to fight among themselves. The hunchbacked old woman was not angry. Instead, she laughed. However, her voice was so old and terrifying that everyone could not help but feel their hair stand on end. Senior, You have a clear view. Lin Yu nodded his head. He seemed to agree with the other party's thoughts. Dao Master Songling added, compared to Vast Abyss, I want to see who exactly is the person who can make him issue a wanted poster in the Dao world and take the risk to come at Songling. She sized up Lin Yu with her deep, puffy eyes. Another half a cup of tea's time passed. Lin Yu was composed as he replied politely, I hope I didn't disappoint you, senior. Very good. You have such cultivation strength at such a young age. I'm afraid only a few insufferably arrogant juniors in the Sky Desert universe can compete with you. This was already an extremely high evaluation of him. Dao Master Tsong Ling frowned slowly. Aren't you afraid that I'll take you out to appease Vast Abyss's anger? He shook his head and smiled. If that's the case, I can only say that I came to the wrong place. Lin Yu spread his hands. Vast Abyss Dao Master is killing the people of Tsong Ling outside. I have to settle old and new grudges with him. He took a step forward and was much taller than Dao Master Song Ling. Lin Yu looked down without any fear of facing an expert. Even Dao Master Song Ling had only seen that Lin Yu's cultivation strength was not as weak as it seemed on the surface. The moment he did not see through his mental state, he already had a whole new level of respect for this young man. Old and new grudges. Dao Master Song Ling's voice echoed. Naturally, he asked Lin Yu in return. The latter smiled and said, the new grudge is naturally the grudge of the people who came to hurt Song Ling today. He squatted in front of Dao Master Song Ling. As for the old grudge, could it be that you've forgotten about the Sky Bridge after thousands of years? How dare you? Dao Master Song Ling's voice instantly turned cold. In an instant, a terrifying pressure rumbled down from the ancient city. The rumbling sound turned into a storm that condensed above the billions of people and locked onto Lin Yu's aura. Calm down, Dao Master. Calm down. Vast Moon King was shocked and kept kowtowing to beg for mercy. Queen Ling Fei, Zhang Wudi, and the others were naturally the same. Even the billions of people behind them were prostrating on the ground, afraid that the Dao Master would be angry and slaughter all the living beings here. However, Lin Yu was not afraid of death at all and smiled again. He destroyed your external Dao intent, so you haven't forgotten? Chapter 575. You know too many things. Dao Master Song Ling's gaze was still sharp, and the storm above everyone's head was breathing. It was the power of freedom equilibrium. As long as the other party willed it, the storm would descend. Moreover, Lin Yu knew that this person could strike all the storms into his body without harming anyone else. Even if he had a second firmament law combat body, he could not resist at all. The great Emperor of Balance Realm threw away the changes in moves and did not need to move. A thought was enough to destroy the opponent. For example, the Ghost Emperor's karmic fishing and Dao Master Song Ling's freedom equilibrium were such terrifying existences. Since I dare to offend the Ghost Emperor, I dare to offend you. Lin Yu's lips curled up, but he was still fearless. Dao Master, you don't have to casually attack. After all, you need to deal with the Vast Abyss Dao Master with all your strength. If you waste too much energy on me, it won't do you any good. I don't need any energy to kill you. Dao Master Song Ling refuted Lin Yu's point of view. However, an extremely complicated talisman that was only as wide as a finger slowly appeared between the latter's eyebrows. Are you sure, Dao Master? Lin Yu spoke again, word by word, and it fell into Dao Master Song Ling's ears. The latter narrowed his eyes as he sensed a power that surpassed everything. A divine item, the power of the combination talisman. Interesting. You're the most courageous person I've ever met. Dao Master Song Ling smiled faintly and said, Aren't you afraid that I'll take the supreme treasure on you even if I don't care about the Vast Abyss Dao Master? That depends on who you want to attack more, Dao Master. Lin Yu waved his hand and smiled. Since the Vast Abyss Dao Master came to you today, why don't you leave him behind and take revenge? How can you guess the Dao Master's intentions? Dao Master Song Ling dispersed the storm, and the Vast Moon King and the others heaved a sigh of relief as if they had escaped a great calamity. Moreover, I'm also a Dao Master like the Vast Abyss Dao Master. Why do you think I would not hesitate to attack? Apart from the Zither Emperor from many years ago, no one dares to claim to be the strongest among Tao masters. Her eyes were filled with reminiscence. Lin Yu smiled. He already knew that Tao Master Song Ling had a feud with the Ghost Emperor. However, they were also wary of each other. He had already thought of an excuse from the start. It's hard to predict the strength of a Tao Master. It might be difficult to fight him one-on-one, but the vast Abyss Tao Master is in your territory right now. With those bastards from the 100 dynasties leading the way, what are you afraid of? Lin Yu took a step forward and continued looking down at Tao Master Song Ling. Back then, you also left your Tao intent on the sky bridge. Even with Tao Master Song Ling's cultivation, an undetectable emotion still flashed in his eyes. "What else do you know?" she said in a hoarse voice. Lin Yu knew that since he wanted to lure this person to deal with the Ghost Emperor, he naturally had to reveal the secrets he knew. He would use the hatred of the past to resolve his current predicament. Back then, even the Azure Sky Tao Master could not compare to your clone Tao intent. It could be said that thousands of years ago, you were the great emperor closest to the Heaven Desert after the Zither Emperor. Lin Yu suddenly changed his mind and sighed. Unfortunately, the vast Abyss Tao Master and the Azure Sky Tao Master launched a sneak attack on you and joined forces to destroy your Tao intent. Even though the vast Abyss Tao Master could not replace it, in the end, your Tao intent perished on the sky bridge. He spread his hands and suddenly had a boldness that seemed to look down on heaven and earth. If you want to step on the Heaven Desert, you have to climb the sky bridge first. Unfortunately, you have disappeared for thousands of years, and your ambition to step on the Heaven Desert can no longer be realized. Did the vast Abyss Tao Master want to kill you because you know too much? Tao Master Song Ling asked coldly. Lin Yu smiled. Perhaps. I have already lured him to the Song Ling Tao world. As for whether he wants to take revenge, it's up to you now. The other party remained silent. Once he attacked, there would be irreversible consequences. She asked again, "You're just a little brat in the law realm. How do you expect me to believe you?" Lin Yu knew that this fellow had been beaten to a pulp by the battle back then. She had hidden her strength for thousands of years and honed her strength. However, the longer she kept a low profile, the more worried she was about repeating the same mistakes. After all, if she had to do it again, she could not afford to lose. Lin Yu's tone also changed from gentle to fierce. "Based on the fact that I can help you destroy the Tao intent of the Azure Sky Tao Master on the sky bridge." Arrogant, Tao Master Song Ling smiled disdainfully. "Little brat, I admit that you have some ability, but there are some things that you may not be able to do even if you are high-spirited. On the contrary, many of those overconfident geniuses have been killed in the cradle by themselves before they have even grown up." Lin Yu also curled the corners of his mouth. Then let me rephrase. The 5 fingers of his right hand formed a claw, and the palm of his hand made cracking sounds in the void. The vast Moon King and the others could not see it. However, Tao Master Song Ling's gaze was fixed on the place where the space was cracking. There, a wooden zither slowly appeared from the void. Looking at it with the naked eye, there was nothing special about this zither. However, Tao Master Song Ling saw 2 things on it. First, it was ancient. This zither came from at least tens of thousands of years ago. It was Tao intent. There was a Tao intent on the zither that even she could only look up to. "It's the Zither Emperor's item," Tao Master Song Ling said in a deep voice. Since the talisman, this was the second time she was shocked by Lin Yu's actions. There can't be a mistake. Only Senior Zither Emperor has such a powerful Tao intent. Even though he has fallen for tens of thousands of years, this Tao intent has crossed countless years and can still shock me. Lin Yu held the Emperor's zither and casually plucked it with his fingertips. The leisurely zither music that contained the Tao suddenly floated in all directions. When everyone who was prostrating on the ground heard the zither music, the various fears that happened today seemed to be gradually suppressed. There was only peace in their hearts, as if they had temporarily forgotten the disaster that the vast Moon Dynasty was facing. Soothing Spirit Tune. Dao Master Tsongling gasped. You are the Zither Emperor's successor. Back then, the Zither Emperor was the first to step into the sky and was the first person recorded in the history of the Heaven Desert universe. Even though the person in front of her was a top Dao Master of the Heaven Desert universe, when he heard the Zither Emperor's name and saw his Emperor Zither, he still instinctively felt reverence. Lin Yu nodded and smiled. I am from the Feng Yi Dao world. I don't think I need to say more about the enmity between the Feng Yi Dao world and the vast Abyss Dao world, right? Dao Master Tsongling's gaze did not move from the Emperor Zither. She did not expect that the young man who appeared in front of her, who had planned everything and forced her to deal with the vast Abyss Dao Master, who had once harmed her, was actually the Zither Emperor's successor. Interesting, extremely interesting. Dao Master Tsongling seemed to have understood something and suddenly laughed out loud. The Ghost Emperor followed the balance of karma, but did not expect that he was still in it. Interesting, interesting. Chapter 576. Everyone in the vast Moon Kingdom was stunned when they heard the voice. Even those mortals who did not know the truth thought that Lin Yu was just a powerful young man. They did not expect him to be a big shot who could talk to the sect master. Even in the face of the sect master's fury, Lin Yu seemed to have a way to resist it. I've waited for thousands of years, and I'm bored of waiting. Sect master Tsongling's body emitted a shocking white light, which was the power of freedom equalization. Then, her voice sounded again. Since such an interesting person has appeared, how can I be a coward? Lin Yu, I'll trust you this time. Lin Yu smiled and did not say anything. Sect Master Tsongling had already disappeared from this underground world. Vast Moon King and the rest stood up in fear. Lin, General Lin, the Sect Master. Vast Moon King was now extremely fearful of Lin Yu. This person who could talk to the Sect Master as an equal, Vast Moon King thought that he already knew Lin Yu's background. But now, it seemed that he still did not know. She's going to do what she should do. Lin Yu did not say it directly, but instructed Vast Moon King, the Sect Master will settle the matters outside. And here, I'll have to trouble your majesty. He was referring to the billions of people in the Vast Moon Kingdom, and he still needed Vast Moon King to reorganize. Understood, I understand. He knew that he should not ask anymore. Vast Moon King did not stay here for long, and immediately walked to the center of the ancient city and began to stop the others from settling down. Qingxue, Sasha, Wudi, and the rest of you go and help. Queen Lingfei ordered. Even if Zhang Qingxue wanted to talk to her master, she could only leave helplessly. After all, the most important thing for the Vast Moon royal family now was to reduce the casualties. Yes, your majesty. Everyone left. Only Lin Yu and Queen Lingfei were left here. The latter's gaze fell on Lin Yu, and it was as gentle as water, unlike when she looked at Vast Moon King, where there was a hint of disgust. Thank you for saving my life, young master. Queen Lingfei's first sentence was filled with gratitude. The queen doesn't blame me for lying to you? Lin Yu smiled faintly. He already knew that this woman had seen through him. He didn't intend to lie to her for the rest of her life. He might be able to trick Lingfei into going to bed with him, but he couldn't fool her intuition. After a long time, the difference between Lin Yu and that damned lord would become apparent. Not all. Queen Lingfei shook her head. Her charming and elegant face was filled with endless tenderness. Young master saved everyone in the vast Moon Empire and also prevented us mother and son from becoming the sinners of the vast Moon Empire. I cannot find any reason to blame you. What she was referring to was naturally Lin Yu's plan of inserting the blood sacrifice heart refinement pill into the herbs and using it against the Purple Cloud dynasty. At the same time, not only were Queen Lingfei and Zhang Wudi absolved of their sins, they were also able to make great contributions. Perhaps only Lin Yu, who knew the secrets of Queen Lingfei and the alchemy habits of the Purple Cloud dynasty, could devise such a scheme. What about the matter of me pretending to be a lord? You don't blame me? Lin Yu knew that the other party didn't answer his question, but he still wanted to hear Lingfei's thoughts. I don't blame young master for that matter. In her eyes, Lin Yu was no longer the great General Lin Yu. The current Lin Yu was a charming young man in Ling Fei's eyes. The fact that Ling Fei addressed him as young master was enough to show the turbulence in her heart. She pursed her lips lightly and stepped forward to approach Lin Yu. At this moment, the vast Moon King and the others were busy reorganizing and didn't notice this. Queen Ling Fei gently tiptoed, hugged the young man's strong body, and murmured in his arms, "Zhang Wudi has never felt a father's love since he was young, and I have never felt the strong love of a husband. But during this time, you have given us this feeling of being protected." Tears gushed out of her eyes. On this day, when she saw how powerful Lin Yu was, every time she thought of Lin Yu's merits, Queen Ling Fei knew that such a person would not belong to her forever. To Lin Yu, she was just a passerby, a chess piece in a scheme. But this chess piece had feelings that she shouldn't have for the person in control of the game. "Young master, can you really give Ling Fei this once?" She stood beside Lin Yu. Her tone was full of farewell and pleading. However, Lin Yu just patted her jade back with one hand and gently circulated the principles of harmony, calming Ling Fei's fluctuating emotions at this moment. Some people can't get too close, otherwise, it will only be more painful. Lin Yu smiled faintly and let go of Ling Fei. The latter could only tactfully take a step back. This time, Lin Yu didn't do anything, although he had done everything in the 100,000 years he was trapped. But it was different now. The vast Moon King was still alive. Lin Yu didn't care about Ling Fei's back, but her pretty face was already drowned in tears. In the end, this young man was too outstanding, and she couldn't even get a chance to have him once. Walking to the intersection under the stone bed, Lin Yu's figure dissipated, and he already appeared in the outside world. His whereabouts were too fast, and no one could discover him at all. The scene in front of him changed again. When Lin Yu appeared, he already saw that the fluctuations of the battle had disappeared. More than half of the entire vast Moon Dynasty was destroyed. And on the ground, smelly blood gathered into pools of blood, but it was blocked by countless corpses. There were too many pools of blood flowing in different directions like rivers. Blood flowed into rivers, and this place had become the azure field of Songling Dao world at this moment. Only half of the allied army from the 100 dynasties remained, and more than half of the supreme powerhouses were killed or injured. Clearly, under the Ghost Emperor's karma balance, even supreme powerhouses couldn't survive. Lin Yu's gaze fell on them, and these people also saw Lin Yu walking out of the transport formation. Lin Yu is right in front of us now, a year's worth of the vast Abyss Sect Master's comprehension. We captured Lin Yu, but the Sect Master attacked us. The person who injured us was the vast Abyss Sect Master. Then, what's the point of capturing Lin Yu? Now that they saw Lin Yu, these people had long lost their initial greed and impulse. Instead, they were now full of regret. If it weren't for their greed, they wouldn't have attacked the vast Moon Dynasty, and so many people wouldn't have died here today. Lin Yu didn't care about these, and instead looked in another direction. There, a hole seemed to have been torn open in the sky. This hole was so big that it was as if a top-notch expert had forcefully torn open the sky and was trying to escape. Under the hole in the sky above the vast Moon Dynasty, the hunchbacked old woman stood in the air and slowly released her balanced emperor's might. He got away in the end. Chapter 577. Lin Yu smiled faintly. His bright eyes were deep. How could he not see that the hole was caused by the Ghost Emperor? Not only did he break the sky of the vast Moon Empire, but he also broke the Songling Dao world. Dao Master Songling waved her hand and operated the Freedom Equilibrium. The hole that could almost be seen from the desert universe slowly closed. I haven't fought for thousands of years. I'm rusty. Dao Master Songling turned around and looked at Lin Yu. The latter touched his chin and observed the scattered Emperor's aura in the surrounding space. Presumably, Song Yuan has been severely injured by you. Lin Yu judged. Dao Master Songling nodded. You weren't here just now. How could you tell? She was once again surprised by Lin Yu's keen insight. You guessed right. He won't be able to recover to his prime for at least 1,000 years. Lin Yu smiled and said, "That's good. It seems that I can relax for a while." Dao Master Song Ling's eyes were slightly angry, but she could see Lin Yu's true nature. She was also greatly exhausted and was not in the mood to pursue Lin Yu. The great battle caused Song Ling and Song Yuan Dao worlds to suffer heavy losses, but it finally came to an end. In 3 days' time, Lin Yu counted how much glory bot he had earned in the 7th princess residence. In addition to the storage rings he had snatched from the emperor's corpses after the battle, his assets had exceeded 10 trillion. He did not calculate the value of those treasures. This money can let me live a good life for a few days. Lin Yu nodded in satisfaction. His storage ring was unusually heavy and could barely hold so many things. I have to find the people from the low-key sect quickly. After all, it's not safe to keep so much money on me. Lin Yu muttered. These few days, the vast Moon Empire and Dao Master Song Ling were extremely busy. The punishment for the 100 dynasties, the funeral of those corpses, and the reconstruction of the vast Moon Empire's territory. All kinds of trivial matters added together were enough to make them badly battered. On the other hand, Lin Yu was happy to be free. As for Queen Ling Fei, she seemed to be a little unsatisfied. While the vast Moon King was busy, she often secretly came to see Lin Yu. However, Lin Yu only tasted a little of it and stopped there. He took it as atonement for the vast Moon King for killing her husband. After leaving something in the other party's mouth a few times, Lin Yu reminded Queen Ling Fei not to come so often. After all, he still needed to cultivate with Zhang Qingxue. Thinking of this, Zhang Sasha's voice came from outside the room. Lin Yu opened the door, and Zhang Sasha appeared in front of him, dressed in a tight suit. The latter's eyes were filled with even more admiration than before. "General, the Dao Lord wants to see you." At this moment, the vast Moon Empire was personally led by Dao Master Song Ling. With the support of the Light Pillar of Fortune, this place had become the most prosperous place in Song Ling Dao world. Therefore, even though there were many things waiting to be done, the vast Moon King, Zhang Sasha, and the others were still sincerely grateful to Lin Yu. If he had not planned all of this, there would not be the vast Moon Empire that was reborn now. "Let's go," Lin Yu said casually. However, when he passed by Zhang Sasha, the latter suddenly hugged him. "I heard from the Dao Lord that you only used the Song Ling Dao world as a refuge. Now that Song Yuan has been defeated and left, you will be leaving soon." She hugged Lin Yu very tightly. Lin Yu then connected Queen Ling Fei's recent look of wanting to suck him in every day with this sentence. Could it be that Dao Lord Song Ling said something behind his back that made the people of the vast Moon Empire reluctant to part with him? He did not say anything. Zhang Sasha did not dare to hug him for too long. After a while, she let go of Lin Yu. "General, I lost my composure." As she spoke, Lin Yu also nodded casually. The two of them came to the Dragon Palace. At this moment, Dao Lord Song Ling was sitting in the Dragon Palace. The vast Moon King had just come out of the Dragon Palace and bowed heavily to Lin Yu. "General, I will never forget vast Moon's kindness." Seeing his high-spirited appearance, Lin Yu did not need to ask to know that this old fellow had become Dao Lord Song Ling's favorite person now. Of course, he had reaped many benefits. However, more importantly, the vast Moon King could finally hold his head high after being a low-class empire for so many years. His Majesty still has many things to thank me for. Lin Yu thought of Queen Ling Fei. Forget it, His Majesty will feel it in the future. After speaking, Lin Yu left the vast Moon King with a puzzled expression and entered the Dragon Palace. There was no one here. It was obvious that after Lin Yu appeared, the others were sent away by Dao Lord Song Ling like the vast Moon King. "I have 2 pieces of bad news for you." On the seat, Dao Lord Song Ling still looked like a hunchbacked old woman. After she spoke, Lin Yu felt somewhat helpless. "You should look better, Dao Lord." "Why?" Lin Yu smiled faintly and recalled that he had used 1,000 wrong methods to trick Dao Lord Song Ling into revealing her true appearance once. Now that she knew his background, he was afraid that he could not use that method anymore. Thinking of this, Lin Yu suddenly felt that it was much more convenient to do other things as a mortal and a stranger after being trapped for 100,000 years. You see my true appearance? Tao Lord Songling's surprised voice was heard. I've only heard about it. Lin Yu said lightly, I've never seen it before. Can you tell me which two pieces of bad news they are? It seems that the people of the Square Path Tao world are indeed not simple. Tao Lord Songling smiled faintly. She had foretold the bad news to Lin Yu, but the latter was not surprised at all. Such composure was 100 times better than other young people. Without keeping him in suspense, Tao Lord Songling returned to the main topic and said, the first thing is that Tao Master Tsang Yuan has been defeated and has returned to hide in the Tsang Yuan Tao world. She deliberately paused to see Lin Yu's reaction. However, the latter's state of mind was calm, as if this sentence could not affect him at all. Tao Lord Songling said with a smile, I thought you would be happy. Lin Yu casually found a place to sit down and poured tea. How can I be happy when Tao Master said it's bad news? This was originally good news, but what's interesting is that the old thief Tsang Yuan still did not give up on you. He even increased your reward on the Tao world's wanted list from 1 year to 10 years. Lin Yu almost spat out a mouthful of tea. Oh, even after losing 1,000 years of cultivation, he still can't bear to part with the Emperor treasure? Lin Yu thought that he would definitely become a thorn in the side of more Heaven Desert forces now. Now, I reckon that many people outside Songling's Tao world are already waiting for you, Tao Lord Songling added. Sect Master Songling added, as if he was afraid that Lin Yu would not die. Unfortunately, she still could not see Lin Yu's fearful expression. After feeling bored, Tao Lord Songling continued. The second piece of bad news is that the person you asked me to find out about previously has been found. Lin Yu took a sip of tea and rinsed his mouth. He was still calm, but he still smiled and said, Tao Master, you're more capable than others. Chapter 578. Tao Master Songling could not tell how much of Lin Yu's flattery was genuine. In her impression, this kid had set his sights on her and Tsang Yuan, causing the two Tao Masters to fight. Even if such a person's cultivation had not reached the balanced Great Emperor realm, how could he take a Tao Master seriously? The woman you asked me to help you find should be in the Jade Silk Tao world now. Tao Master Tsang Ling spoke again. However, her situation does not seem too good. What do you mean? Lin Yu asked. When Tao Master Tsang Ling saw that there was finally some movement, he sighed and said, half a month ago, the worship of the Glazed Moon Stepping Building, one of the major sects of the Jade Silk world, met the person you were looking for. The Glazed Moon Stepping Tower. Lin Yu slowly turned the teacup in his hand, deep in thought. Sect Master Tsang Ling continued. She has a supreme treasure with her. Originally, it was extremely secretive and no one would know about it. However, your friend was injured at that time and had no choice but to pay a high price to stay on the Glazed Moon Stepping Tower's worship. Lin Yu did not speak. Tao Master Tsang Ling spoke again. Although the Glazed Moon Stepping Tower is full of women, they are known for being greedy. If an ordinary disciple was on the ship, your friend might be able to handle it with her half-step, earthly, sovereign cultivation. However, the person on the ship was the current Tower Master of the Glazed Moon Stepping Tower. The Tower Master of the Glazed Moon Stepping Tower personally took action. Lin Yu asked. Tao Master Tsang Ling nodded. Naturally, it is not easy to come out after entering the King of Thieves. I heard that the Tower Master of the Glazed Moon Stepping Tower brought your friend back to the Jade Silk Tao world. Lin Yu felt helpless. If it was only because of the Glazed Moon Stepping Tower's Tower Master, it would not be enough for her to take action personally. There was only one reason. It was because she had discovered the sky reflecting mirror on little Mimi. The attraction of the divine item was enough for the ancestors of the Tsang Ling Tao world to mobilize the entire clan to kill Torch Dragon 100,000 years ago. Even the ancestors of the past could not resist. What more a mere Tower Master of the Glazed Moon Stepping Tower? It seems that the owner of the Moonstep Tower spared your friend's life because she couldn't unravel the secret of the supreme treasure on her. However, Tao Master Tsang Ling carefully observed Lin Yu. In terms of skill, she was naturally much stronger than Lin Yu. However, she was repeatedly led by Lin Yu in terms of her state of mind. At that moment, Sect Master Tsang Ling really wanted to know under what circumstances Lin Yu's state of mind would be shaken. However, even though your friend was tortured, he still refused to reveal the secret of the treasure. Tao Master Tsang Ling sighed repeatedly. Now, the Moon-Stepping Tower's master takes a pot of her blood essence every day. It seems like she wants to use the fear of facing death for a long time to force your friend to tell her the secret. Lin Yu stopped spinning the teacup in his hand. When he heard the last sentence, he drank it all in one gulp. Tao Master Tsang Ling wanted to see Lin Yu get angry. That was because she knew that Lin Yu could ask her to find the woman, which meant that the woman was very important to him. Unfortunately, Tao Master Tsang Ling was still disappointed. Lin Yu's tone was still calm as he looked over. Tao Master, are you taking revenge on me? How do you know? Tao Master Tsang Ling asked innocently. More wrinkles appeared on her old face. It was as if the conversation with Lin Yu had made her extremely happy and interesting. Tao Master, you first let me know how many people are waiting to send me to Tsang Yuan outside the Tao world. You also told me the whereabouts of my friend. The order of your words has a deep meaning. Lin Yu smiled helplessly. As soon as he finished speaking, Tao Master Tsang Ling immediately thought to herself, "Haha, you once put me in a dilemma. Now, I'll let you have a taste of it." However, she still had to give Lin Yu some face. She still smiled and said, "You have a divine item and are the successor of the Zither Emperor. How could I do such a stingy thing?" Lin Yu nodded and cursed in his heart. Is this a woman? When Tao Master Tsang Ling saw Lin Yu's fake smile, how could she not know that he was scolding her in his heart? She immediately interrupted Lin Yu's thoughts. With your strategy, you will naturally have a way to solve the current predicament. She expressed her sincerity to Lin Yu. I'm just telling you the truth. If you only want to stay in the Tsangling Dao world, I will naturally ensure your safety. No, I'll head to the Jade Silk Dao world immediately. Before she finished speaking, Lin Yu's answer came. Aren't you afraid? Dao Master Tsang Ling reminded him. The people outside want your life. Now, in the Sky Desert universe, only the Tsangling Dao world is your safest place to stay. If we cultivate only for ease, what's the difference between us and salted fish? Lin Yu snorted coldly. Cultivation is something that defies the natural order. If God blocks us, we will kill God. If Buddha blocks us, we will kill Buddha. Don't you think so, Dao Master? Yes, that's true. Dao Master Tsang Ling was stunned. She wondered why this kid was suddenly so enthusiastic. The next moment, Lin Yu spoke again. Since Dao Master has agreed, why don't you lend 20 to 30 supreme experts to Lin Yu to escort me to the glazed moon-treading tower? Dream on, Dao Master Tsang Ling said angrily. Could it be that this brat's sudden enthusiasm was because he wanted to trick him again? I've been severely injured. Now, only half of the supreme experts are left. I can't give you 20 to 30 people. Dao Master Tsang Ling refused. Then how many people can you lend to Lin Yu? 10 is possible. As soon as Dao Master Tsang Ling finished speaking, Lin Yu immediately interrupted her. Deal, 10 supreme experts. You've misunderstood. I'm saying 10 law experts. As soon as she finished speaking, Lin Yu was already outside the Dragon Hall. So fast. Dao Master Tsang Ling was surprised. Lin Yu sneered outside the Dragon Hall. Since Dao Master has decided, then when you go up the sky bridge again, I, the owner of the divine item, the successor of the Zither Emperor, will silently bless you from afar. Lin Yu deliberately emphasized the words divine item and Zither Emperor. Dao Master Tsang Ling's face twitched. You promised me 3 days ago in the ancient city. At that time, Lin Yu even said that he could help her defeat the Dao intent of the Azure Sky, Dao Master on the Sky Bridge. But now, this kid was telling her to silently bless her? You can go back on your word. Lin Yu waved his sleeve and left the Dragon Hall. 6 hours later, on the vast Moon Kingdom's warship, Lin Yu stood at the bow of the ship and looked down at the vast moon kingdom that was gradually shrinking. Behind him, 9 Earth Supremes and 1 Heavenly Supreme expert followed silently. Tao Master Tsang Ling's order was for them to completely obey Lin Yu's orders. Any orders? At this moment, Tao Master Tsang Ling was in the Dragon Hall. Lin Yu naturally did not care about her pained expression. Lin Yu, my Tsang Ling Dao world can't afford to lose any more soldiers. You better take it easy. Chapter 579. The Tsang Ling Dao world cannot afford to lose any more soldiers. You better take it easy. Dao Master Tsang Ling's voice entered his ears. The latter just smiled faintly. In fact, he had thought that the other party would not give him so many people. After all, Lin Yu had deliberately said 20 to 30 Supreme Venerables at the beginning. He estimated that about 5 Supreme Venerables would be enough to cause trouble for the glazed moon treading tower. Besides the 10 Supreme Venerables, he had also brought Zhang Qingxue out this time. To be precise, Zhang Qingxue had forced the vast Moon King to follow Lin Yu's battleship by risking her life. Zhang Sasa and Queen Ling Fei could only look at this with envy. However, this envy would probably soon turn into anger and be vented on the vast Moon King. Your Majesty, why don't you send more people to protect the general so that we can also go and gain experience? Father, it's too unfair to only let 7th sister accompany General Lin. Even Zhang Wudi could not help but add a few words. Not in the mood to care about the vast Moon King's internal and external troubles, Lin Yu, Zhang Qingxue, and the 10 Supreme Venerables battleship left the Tsang Ling Dao world. Lin Yu did not choose to use the teleportation array. Instead, he went directly from the Sky Desert universe to the Jade Silk Dao world. As soon as they left the Tsang Ling Dao world, there were indeed many battleships lingering outside. There were battleships in the universe that traded glory bait, but the number in front of them was obviously not that simple. Did Lin Yu come out? Go up and take a look. We've waited for more than half a month. I don't believe that this kid can hide in the Tsang Ling Dao world forever. If Dao Master Tsang Ling had not sealed the Dao world and only allowed people to leave, we would have gone in long ago. Some of these people had been there since the Dao world arrest warrant had been issued. Some of them had recently added a reward of 10 years of enlightenment by the Ghost Emperor. The temptation was too great, so they recklessly came to gamble on their luck. Soon, these hundreds of battleships surrounded Lin Yu's battleship. It stopped. Let's see if Lin Yu is inside. Damn it, isn't that Lin Yu? These people originally wanted to search for them, but when they took a closer look, they saw Lin Yu standing at the bow of the ship. Good heavens, he's finally out. 10 years of comprehension. 10 years of comprehension as a great emperor. Capture him. On the warship, Lin Yu pressed one hand on the railing and admired the scenery of the cosmos. The Fangyi Dao world is indeed beautiful, but in terms of the vastness of the cosmos, the Heaven Desert is still more spectacular. Admiring the stars, Lin Yu talked to himself. Zhang Qingxue brought Lin Yu's favorite tea over. Master, aren't you being too arrogant? Taking a sip of tea, Lin Yu said helplessly, Master has always kept a low profile, but even so, these people are still unwilling to let me go. So, I might as well be high profile for once. At the same time, countless battleships were already approaching this place. Their speed did not decrease at all. They simply wanted to smash Lin Yu's warship into pieces. Number 5, go up and clean up, Lin Yu said faintly. When he left the Tsangling Dao world, he had already assigned numbers to the 10 supreme martial artists behind him. The 10 of them had the urge to kill Lin Yu right now. Unfortunately, the sect master had warned them repeatedly that if Lin Yu died, they would not be able to live either. Yes, the supreme martial artist, named Number 5, took a step forward, and his supreme martial artist intent swept out. The 3 warships closest to them were instantly destroyed. The moment they collided with Lin Yu, they had already disintegrated. Supreme martial artist. There's a supreme martial artist on the ship. Damn it, what's there to be afraid of? Let's attack together. Lin Yu shook his teacup. Number 6, you go 2. He arranged the numbers according to the order of strength. At this moment, number 6 nodded and disappeared. When he reappeared, he had already stepped on the opponent's largest warship, Rumble. This kick contained the power of supreme martial artist intent and directly penetrated the warship. Number 6's leg strength was exhausted, and he kicked a few more times. Rumble. 5 warships. 10 warships. 30 warships. In front of Lin Yu, flames and explosions kept reverberating. His warship still did not slow down, as if he could not see the disintegrating warships around him and leisurely pass through, until Lin Yu's warship was far away from the Zhongling Dao world. Number 5 and number 6 also returned to the warship. How is it? Lin Yu said lightly. Number 5 replied, we left the 5 weakest ones alive. As for the others, we killed them all according to your orders. Lin Yu's current identity was the messenger that sect master Zhongling had sent to the Jade Silk Dao world. Very good. Lin Yu nodded and said calmly. There was a coldness that disregarded life. Zhang Qingxue was a little puzzled. Master, why don't we eliminate them completely? Lin Yu shook his head. They are greedy people who did not hesitate to risk their lives to capture me. Such people can't be killed completely, he said carelessly. Instead of killing them all, why don't we leave a few alive and let them spread the fear today? I understand. Zhang Qingxue patted her forehead. Master, this is called killing one to warn the others. Something like that. Lin Yu nodded. However, the sound of battle came again in front of him. Could it be that someone is here to capture Master again? Zhang Qingxue said worriedly. Not only her, but the supreme stage powerhouses on Lin Yu were also ready to attack at any time. However, the battle fluctuations in front of them were getting clearer and clearer, and it did not seem like they were coming for Lin Yu. Everyone looked into the distance and saw that it was an ancient warship that was being besieged by 3 other warships. Master, it seems like they're not coming for us. Let's go around them, said Zhang Qingxue. Zhang Qingxue said. She wanted to change direction, but Lin Yu held her hand down. What's wrong? Zhang Qingxue looked at Lin Yu in surprise. However, the latter's gaze was fixed on the ancient warship from afar. Zhang Qingxue followed his gaze and saw a simple sail on the warship. There was a word written on the sail. Qin, Heaven Mo's Qin family. How could Lin Yu not recognize it? Back in the underworld, Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva had used the art of karma to show him Qin Yi's 10th life. It was the Heaven Mo's Qin family. Lin Yu spread out his divine perception and saw that the Qin family's warship was being besieged. More than half of the people were dead or injured. In the center of the Qin family's territory, a beautiful woman was holding a little girl's hand. The little girl was only 2 years old. She looked young and tender. Although she had yet to grow up under her fair skin, one could already vaguely see her exquisite gaze. Her exquisite and clear eyes looked at the group of ferocious people in front of her. Not only was she not afraid, but her eyes were also filled with stubbornness and determination. It was hard to imagine how beautiful and outstanding this little girl would be when she grew up. As for Lin Yu, when his divine sense landed on the little girl's body, his heart, which was so calm that it was almost impossible for it to be disturbed again, began to ripple again. Chapter 580. Although he could not see anything from the little girl's appearance, Lin Yu could not be mistaken about her eyes. Qin Yi, Lin Yu whispered these 3 words. When Zhang Qingxue heard it, how could she not guess that it was a woman's name? It was her first time seeing Lin Yu so affectionate. Master, do you have someone you like? Zhang Qingxue wanted to ask this question, but she swallowed it back in the end. She did not dare to ask, afraid that if she knew the answer, she would not be able to stay by Lin Yu's side. Should we go take a look? Zhang Qingxue asked cautiously. The youth's gaze turned and landed on the group of people who attacked the Qin family's warship. The strongest was only at the first level of the Law Realm. He wanted to make a move, but he hesitated for a moment, because in the distance, he saw another warship appear. On the warship, there was also a sail floating, and a large word, Yin, was written on it. a group of space ruffians don't hurt anyone. A few righteous voices came from the Yin family's warship. Then, a few figures flew out and landed on the Qin family's warship. The leader bowed to the Qin family. It's been 10 years. Brother Qin, how have you been? That person had a kind face, and there was a trace of righteousness between his brows. Brother Yin, is it really you? The Qin family's patriarch cried. Lin Yu's divine will had descended quietly, and it was much stronger than the Qin family's people, so no one noticed him. He seems to be Qin Yi's grandfather in this life. Lin Yu thought, I heard about your son's matter, so I came to offer my condolences, but I didn't expect to see this group of thieves making things difficult for you. The Yin family's patriarch sighed. It turned out that Qin Yi's father had died, and only her mother was left to take care of her. After he finished speaking, his gaze fell on the little girl. Brother Qin, she's Yi, right? That's right. I'm not afraid of Brother Yin laughing, but I only have Yi left. Don't worry, Brother Qin. You and I are friends who have gone through life and death together. Today, no one will be able to hurt you. At this moment, on the Yin family's warship, there was a young man who looked about 7 or 8 years old. Although he was young, he already gave off a high-spirited vibe. He stood there with his back straight, his eyes meeting the little girl's. The young man's heartbeat suddenly quickened, as if a heaven-sent match had appeared in front of him. In the distance, Lin Yu withdrew his divine sense. It turned out that Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva had said before his death that the calamity in Qin Yi's life was resolved in this way. She's also called Qin Yi in this life. Lin Yu smiled faintly. He turned around and took control of the warship, turning it into another path. He skimmed past the battle between the Qin family and the Yin family, as well as Qin Yi's heaven-sent marriage. Lin Yu stopped looking. According to Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva, Qin Yi could live a happy life after this calamity. He recalled the scene when Qin Yi used her weak body to block Feng Buxiu's fatal blow under the flower-blooming world. Lin Yu didn't want such a sacrifice to happen again. His Tao was destined to be invincible, and he wanted to unravel the secrets in his body. The small wooden house, the system, that woman. This journey was extremely dangerous, and he couldn't bear too many worries. However, on the Qin family's deck, the 1-year-old girl's bright eyes passed through the figures in battle. For some reason, her eyes fell on the 15 or 16-year-old young man in front of the warship. Her little hand subconsciously broke free from her mother, as if instinctively wanting to chase after the young man. But it was too dangerous ahead. The Yin family had already joined the battle, and the galactic bandits surrounding them were falling one by one. Fortunately, the little girl's mother reacted in time and pulled her back. The 7 or 8-year-old boy of the Yin family stared at the girl without moving. But the girl was looking at the young man's warship as it left her just like that. She didn't know why, but her childish face suddenly became uncomfortable. It was a stabbing pain in her heart. The little girl burst into tears. Her mother thought that the little girl was frightened by the battle and immediately hugged the little girl in her arms. When Lin Yu's warship completely disappeared from sight, the little girl cried even louder. After a few more hours, Lin Yu's warship was extremely fast and had already arrived at the Jade Silk Tao world. Should we go in quietly? Lin Yu rubbed his chin. Their current lineup seemed to be a little too high profile. If they were discovered, it would be troublesome. However, before he could decide, a terrifying divine will had already descended outside the Jade Silk Tao world. This divine will instantly enveloped Lin Yu's warship. Even the 10 supreme beings behind him felt an unprecedented pressure from this divine will. Great Emperor, why did we alarm the Great Emperor as soon as we arrived? Their hearts tightened. Zhang Qingxue suppressed her fear, but her jade-like hand was already subconsciously holding Lin Yu's sleeve. I've underestimated you. Lin Yu smiled faintly, as if he knew who had come. Fortunately, it's only a divine will that descended. It's easier to talk about it. He raised his head, and his gaze landed on the Jade Silk Tao world in front of him. It was a vast expanse of white snow that had accumulated for 10,000 years. It was the legendary and most beautiful place in the Sky Desert universe. But in the white void, Lin Yu's eyes met with a pair of eyes. At this moment, in the Jade Silk Dao world, there was an ice mountain that towered into the sky after countless years. An old man was sitting in front of a chessboard. The person that the vast abyss sect master wants to capture has actually come to my Jade Silk Dao world. The old man held a black chess piece in his hand, but he did not place it down. He was in the wind and snow, but the wind and snow did not touch his clothes at all. There was no one in front of the old man, but on the chessboard, the black and white chess pieces were anxiously fighting. No one knew who was playing the white chess piece. No one knew who his opponent was. However, the old man's gaze was deep at this moment, reflecting the light of the stars. It was not somewhere else in the universe. It was none other than the area where Lin Yu was. I'm borrowing your territory for a few days. Don't be so stingy. On the deck, Lin Yu spoke faintly. His gaze turned, and he controlled the warship to enter one of the teleportation arrays that only he could see. With a whoosh, the warship almost disappeared on the spot. Even if the old man was extremely capable, he could only let out a soft cry of surprise at this moment. You can actually avoid my divine will, as expected of someone that even Tsang Yuan could not catch. The old man smiled faintly. The black chess piece was placed, and a figure suddenly appeared in front of the chessboard. Although this figure's aura was not as strong as the old man's, it still emitted a trace of balanced emperor's might. This person was also a great emperor of equalization. Lin Yu brought 10 supremes to my Jade Silk Dao world. Go catch him and let me see. The old man spoke slowly, his gaze still fixed on the chessboard. The world is like a game of chess. Every move has 3 calculations. Lin Yu might be related to a few Dao worlds. Remember, I want him alive. Chapter 581. Capture Lin Yu alive. After saying that, the figure in front of him disappeared again. On the peak of the boundless snow mountain, only the old man was left. In the Jade Silk realm, when Lin Yu appeared again, their warship was already in the domain of the glazed moon stepping tower. Even the 10 Supremes looked at Lin Yu with eyes full of surprise. What happened just now? Time and space? Teleportation? I sensed the power of teleportation, but I didn't sense any teleportation array in the place just now. The ability of the emissary is very strange. Lin Yu didn't explain these, but looked down. Looks like we're here, right? He turned around and took out some herbs. His 5 fingers formed a claw, and in a situation where others didn't know what was going on, Lin Yu actually started to refine pills. The emissary's alchemy skills have probably reached the realm of 5th grade or above. I think it's more than that. Without a pill furnace, he can actually refine pills directly. Only Lin Yu knew that the white light in his hand didn't look like a flame, but it was the most powerful alchemy fire. The Emperor Fire passed down by the Alchemy Emperor. After 2 hours, 10 pills appeared in Lin Yu's hand. Take it. Lin Yu threw it, and the 10 pills immediately floated in front of the 10 Supremes. Emissary. This, if they were suddenly told to swallow a pill, anyone would have doubts in their heart. Have you forgotten the order that the sect master gave you? Seeing these people hesitate, Lin Yu warned. Only one sentence appeared in the minds of the 10 Supremes at the same time. Completely obey Lin Yu's orders. This was the highest order that sect master Song Ling gave them. Seeing this, even if these Supremes were originally emperors of hundreds of dynasties, people of the same level as the Bright Moon King, at this moment, they had no choice but to obey Lin Yu's orders. They took the pills. The medicinal power was exerted, and the aura on their bodies immediately changed. From the originally faintly discernible Supreme's will, it kept declining and became the aura of laws. However, the 10 great Supremes all understood that their power did not weaken at all. However, the aura of the Martial Highness realm was concealed. Walking in the universe, it's best to keep a low profile. If you can avoid fighting, then don't fight. If you can run, then run. If you can avoid being noticed, then don't. Remember that. Lin Yu said. In fact, it was because the Snow Mountain Elder had discovered the aura of the 10 Great Supremes. If they were just ordinary people, even if he was on the warship, they might not have been discovered so quickly. However, the combined auras of the 10 great utmost exalted were simply too powerful. As such, they were targeted by the master of the Jade Silk Tao realm the moment they arrived. Now that Lin Yu was hiding inside, he naturally had to be more careful. Zhang Qingxue smiled when she saw that even the 10 great supremes, who were as powerful as her father, were so obedient in front of Lin Yu. Master, can we go in now? Sure. Lin Yu nodded. Under Zhang Qingxue's control, the warship landed in a white world. In the sky of this world, there were faint snowflakes falling. Although it wasn't big, Zhang Qingxue couldn't help but shiver. Her thin veil was penetrated by the cold air, but Zhang Qingxue used some obsidian energy to resist it. The cold air was nothing to her. In front of them were palaces floating in the white world. These palaces were not built with bricks like those in the vast Moon Empire. Instead, they emitted a bright light. Glazed obsidian bot, the most beautiful obsidian bot. Lin Yu explained casually. Zhang Qingxue was stunned. Everything here was built with obsidian bot? Lin Yu nodded and got off the warship. At the same time, he saw many warships docked near them. These people had obviously arrived earlier than them and had been here for some time. According to Lin Yu's impression of this place, the glazed moon-treading tower shouldn't have so many customers. This was abnormal. The glazed moon-treading tower is too rich. Zhang Qingxue exclaimed. She didn't know how many trillions of obsidian bot were spent to build such a huge sect. Lin Yu nodded and smiled. It's just a way to make money. He said casually and recalled what sect master Songling said. Wasn't Lord Glass targeted by the glazed moon-treading tower because of obsidian bot and the sky reflecting mirror? That was why he was imprisoned. Speaking of which, Lin Yu began to recall that he had been here before and understood the few places where people were imprisoned. I wonder where she is. Lin Yu already had a plan. When the sky turned dark, he would go in and take a look. Perhaps he could take little Mimi away. However, he had to settle the score with the glazed moon-treading tower. At this moment, Lin Yu and the rest had already entered the glazed moon-treading tower. In front of them were countless small palaces covered in white snow. There were also 3 supreme palaces at the furthest end. Father asked me to inform Master that the glazed moon-treading tower has 3 tower masters. All of them are supremes, especially the first tower master. I heard that he has reached the heavenly supreme realm. Zhang Qingxue explained. Lin Yu nodded. He knew everything here better than Zhang Qingxue. Zhang Qingxue had only heard about it. However, he had personally experienced everything here in the 100,000 years that he had been imprisoned, including the ancient books, secrets, and women. Have you heard? There's a special segment in the Glazed Moon-Treading Flower Appreciation Festival. What segment? Earlier, when they were admiring flowers, they were admiring real flowers. However, this time around, the second and third floor masters have decided to use a woman as the object of their appreciation. A woman. They say that women are like flowers. This is interesting. That's right. I don't know how that woman offended the Tower Masters. I heard that she's extremely beautiful. She could be considered the #1 beauty in the glazed moon-treading tower. She's even a half-step supremes. Damn it. If I can get a woman like her, I'll wake up laughing in my dreams. Lin Yu and the rest found a place to stay and settled down. Then, they heard the discussions around them. Flower Appreciation Festival. Lin Yu touched his chin. He remembered that the glazed moon-treading tower did have a flower appreciation festival that was held once every 10 years. He didn't expect to run into it. However, Lin Yu's intuition told him that the woman who was being admired as a flower couldn't be little Mimi. Could she? You can have her. First, unlock the treasure of that beauty. Then, she'll be yours. Lin Yu was currently in a restaurant. There were a few tables behind him. The person who spoke was a burly man who was almost 10 feet tall. The chair under him was bent under his huge body. It seemed like it would break at any time. It's the people from the earthly flame, heaven-burning pavilion. Are they here to participate in the glazed moon-treading flower appreciation festival? I heard that the people from the earthly flame heaven-burning pavilion mainly cultivate their battle physique. They are tall and strong. Today, I see that they live up to their reputation. Chapter 582. After the tall man finished speaking, another person at another table spoke up. That treasure is said to be a mirror. According to the people of the Moonstep Tower, there's a world hidden in the mirror, but they can't open it. The one who spoke was a man and a woman at the table. They're from the Tianhun sect. The others immediately recognized the man. This must be Ling Chongfeng, the young master of the Tianhun sect. At this moment, in another direction, a man in a black robe sat in a corner. No one could see his face, but they could hear his voice. The mirror belongs to the Moonstep Tower. The Moonstep Tower will give the beautiful woman who unravels the secret of the mirror to him. After listening, the eyes of the men were filled with greed. Even the people of the Seven Fiends Hall of the underworld are here. How beautiful is that woman that the Moonstep Tower has the confidence to use her to get other forces to unravel the secret of the mirror. How beautiful! Look, the earthly fire sky burning pavilion, the Tianhun sect, and the Seven Fiends Hall of the underworld are all here. Is there a need to say more? Lin Yu's back was facing them, and he felt a little helpless. It seemed that these people were here to snatch little Mimi from him. The Moonstep Tower is vicious. They captured Master's friend, and they want to use her to unravel the secret of the treasure on her. Zhang Qingxue snorted coldly, but she didn't dare to speak too loudly. She had heard of the names of the people behind her, especially the three major sections. Master, the earthly fire sky burning pavilion, is mostly combat cultivator, and their combat ability is very strong. The Tianhun sect is also said to be mostly divine cultivator, and they're proficient in spiritual attacks, killing people without leaving a trace. Zhang Qingxue told Lin Yu everything she knew. As for the Seven Fiends Hall of the underworld, they're even more terrifying. They make puppets out of living people, and they don't even need to do it themselves. The puppets can already kill. Lin Yu sipped his tea. Zhang Qingxue saw his calm expression and asked curiously, Master, aren't you afraid at all? What's there to be afraid of? Lin Yu asked. Zhang Qingxue reminded, if Master's friend is captured, we'll be in for a fierce battle. Master is here to reason, not to fight. He patted Zhang Qingxue's shoulder and said, remember, you can travel the world with reason, but you can't do anything without reason. Master likes to reason with people. Zhang Qingxue looked puzzled. Master, I don't think I've ever seen you reason with anyone before. Why not? Back then, Master was very reasonable when dealing with the Purple Cloud Dynasty. Lin Yu said as he continued to admire the scenery outside the window. When the 10 Great Supremes heard this, all the hairs on their backs stood on end. Was it reasonable when dealing with the Xian dynasty? They clearly remembered that tens of millions of people from the Purple Cloud Dynasty had died in an instant. Even their people had suffered countless casualties at that moment. Could it be that it was also the emissary's idea to make the people of the Purple Cloud Dynasty self-destruct? This person is a murderous demon king, too terrifying. The 10 Great Supremes thought in their hearts, but they restrained themselves from asking questions and didn't really ask. From Lin Yu's tone, they could hear the calmness of killing people as if they were ants. Master is right. We have to be reasonable. That's what my mother taught me before she was born. Zhang Qingxue nodded. She felt that she had followed the right master. This was what a righteous person should be like. They heard some more news. It was late at night. Lin Yu, Zhang Qingxue, and the others stayed in their own rooms. When everyone fell asleep and there was no movement outside, Lin Yu also stopped his cross-legged meditation and began to meditate. He slowly walked out of the door. Lin Yu followed his memory of being imprisoned for 100,000 years and secretly entered the core area of the glazed moon-stepping tower through a secret passage that no one knew about. The security here was extremely tight. Every few breaths, there would be patrols passing by. Lin Yu calculated the timing and sneaked in again. He even used a special method to avoid several protective arrays before he really arrived at the glazed moon stepping tower. Following the location of the imprisoned people in his memory, Lin Yu found the first place. There was no one there. After Lin Yu entered, he only saw the female disciples of the glazed moon stepping tower sleeping. Not here. Lin Yu left, but when he approached another place, he suddenly sensed some clues. There were many footprints on the ground. They were footprints left on the snow. It was even more obvious than ordinary Dao worlds. Outside this place, there were two female disciples guarding it. Lin Yu spread his spiritual force and immediately sensed that something was wrong. There were guards outside, and there were arrays inside. There were more than 30 arrays set up. Each of them was a killing array. Once the people inside walked out, they would definitely die. This place is in line with the nature of the glazed moon stepping tower. After Lin Yu made his judgment, he attacked extremely quickly. The two female disciples, who were at the first firmament of the law realm, had just reacted when they suddenly felt an incomparable stabbing pain in their heads. Lin Yu's hands contained a small version of Buddha's cry Garuda, and he directly struck the space between their eyebrows. Lin Yu did not kill them, so the two female disciples were only unconscious and would not wake up in a short time. When he approached the array, Lin Yu stretched out his hand to feel it. When the array left, there was a rebounding force. God-killing array. Soul-breaking array. Blood refinement array. Lin Yu's eyes were like torches, and he immediately saw the origin of the array formations. As for the method to break them, he naturally knew it well. The array formation isolated my spiritual force, but it's most likely inside. Just as Lin Yu was about to break the array formation, he suddenly sensed a shocking, killing intent enveloping him. He did not even make a move to turn his head. He immediately shifted his body, and when he appeared, he was already 300 feet away from the array. Where he was originally standing, a layer of ice had already formed. This ice was 10,000 times more powerful than the unresolvable cold air, and it was not used to restrict the opponent's movements at all. Above the ice, there was a bloodthirsty suction force. Lin Yu knew that if he was frozen, he would die immediately. Since you dare to trespass into the forbidden area of the glazed moon stepping tower, then stay here. Once again, Lin Yu sensed that an invisible palm was pressing down from above his head. In the midst of this palm, the surrounding glory, qi scattered, making way for the sovereign will in the palm. Lin Yu knew that the person who had come was a sovereign. Looking at the power of the attack, his strength was roughly at the level of a 3-star earthly sovereign. There was only one person in the glazed moon stepping tower who was a 3-star earthly sovereign. Lin Yu shifted his feet and dodged the palm once again. He raised his right hand, and the great void 8-dragon form gathered, and a terrifying dragon form appeared out of thin air. With a punch, the dragon form directly hit the person who had come. Rumbling sounds of explosions rang out. Chapter 583. Lin Yu suddenly raised his left hand, and a figure actually appeared there. The other party had dodged the dragon form's attack, and at this moment, her 5 fingers form a claw, wanting to make Lin Yu stay. Seeing that he could not break the array today and take little Mimi away, Lin Yu was helpless. He waved his left hand in the air, and the death god Transit transformed into a huge black sickle that slashed down at the other party. That person's eyes widened. She originally thought that the other party was just a thief in the law realm, but she did not expect him to be so powerful. Even with her cultivation as an earthly sovereign, she still felt a sense of oppression under the fierce Grim Reaper's passing. That person formed a seal with both hands, and a frosty aura mixed with sovereign intent attacked. The space cracked. The aura was unstoppable, and it collided with the death god Transit. The shock waves of the battle dispersed, and Lin Yu took the opportunity to retreat, quickly escaping to the back. It was not that he could not defeat the other party, but this was the moon stepping tower's territory after all. If he continued fighting and delayed, the one waiting for him would not be as simple as an Earth sovereign. The other party wanted to chase after Lin Yu, but she lost track of him for a moment. Good fellow, let's see where you can run to. That person was a woman in a tight Taoist robe, and she was mighty and domineering. However, just as she was about to continue attacking, she suddenly felt a piercing pain in her right hand. He can actually injure me with one attack. What Dao technique is that? The woman gritted her teeth, and her desire to kill Lin Yu grew even stronger. In another direction of the glass moon stepping tower, Lin Yu's figure appeared. In front of him was a divine altar burning with raging flames. Heaven reflecting mirror. Lin Yu recognized at a glance that in the middle of the divine altar, 9 colored flames were burning and being refined. It was his heaven reflecting mirror. Lin Yu also saw what was on the sky reflecting mirror with a single glance. The originally broken mirror surface was actually repaired a little. The mirror surface was broken by him back then. However, with the nature of the heaven reflecting mirror, it could originally repair itself. Unfortunately, in order to seize the heavenly Tao laws of the Feng Yi Dao world for him, Lin Xiu had exhausted all of them, and even his human form had dissipated. Although the broken mirror did not affect the world inside, it represented Lin Xiu and could not be repaired in a short time. Lin Yu wanted to take the sky reflecting mirror with him, but he gave up when he saw the 9-colored flame. Even Emperor flames don't have the forging power of 9-colored flames. Fine, I'll let you repair the mirror here. Lin Yu gave up, but he felt a little helpless. He knew that if little Mimi released the person in the heaven-reflecting mirror with the power of the Feng Yi Dao realm, she would not be caught and bullied. The reason she did not release them was that Lin Yu had ordered her not to casually expose the people from the Dao world of squares before they could gain a foothold here. Otherwise, they would face death that was 10,000 years late. Who is it? However, just as Lin Yu was about to leave, another figure appeared behind him. This person was also wearing the same Taoist robe as the first person, but her looks were much worse than the First Lady. Third Pavilion Master, Hong Binglu. Lin Yu narrowed his eyes. The First Lady was the second Pavilion Master of the Glass Moon Stepping Tower, Lu Yanqing. He did not expect the third Pavilion Master to appear after hiding in the refining divine altar. Third Sister, catch him. Second Pavilion Master, Lu Yanqing's voice came from afar. She was still thousands of feet away a moment ago, but in the next moment, she appeared in the refining divine altar along with her voice. Stay here, Lu Yanqing said coldly. Third Pavilion Master Hong Binglu also attacked with her. Troublesome. The black wings on Lin Yu's back spread open, and at the same time, he activated the second level of the combat body law. With the combination of the 3 elements, a huge torch dragon illusion was formed behind him. This torch dragon had 3 eyes and represented Lin Yu's combat body, cultivation, and laws. The 3 eyes shone brightly, and power gathered in the dragon's mouth. Lu Yanqing and Hong Binglu attacked with their supreme intent, but they were shocked at the same time. This thing is formed by the laws. Impossible. When you and I were in the law realm, how could we turn the laws into demonic beasts? This person refined the remnant souls of demonic beasts and turned them into his own spiritual laws. The 2 of them were supreme realm experts, and they immediately recognized Lin Yu's laws. However, the next moment, the torch dragon's golden flames came down. The flames contained the power of the great void 8 divisions Garuda. When it swept across, the 2 supreme realm experts' spiritual consciousnesses buzzed. After they blocked the torch dragon's demonic flames with their powerful skills, when they wanted to attack again, Lin Yu had already disappeared in front of them. Damn it, we let him escape. This person is not simple. He is good at using spiritual consciousnesses. Could he be from the Tianhan sect? The Tianhan sect only sent their young master, Ling Chongfeng, and the number 1 beauty, Mo Xianxian. Although we could not see his face clearly, we can be sure that Ling Chongfeng and Mo Xianxian are not that powerful. Lu Yanqing looked back at where little Mimi was. He's here to save people. Interesting. Could he be that brat's man? Inside the inn, Lin Yu's figure appeared again, and his chi and blood were surging. He quietly flew into his room and closed the door. His time and space value rotated and reversed his injuries, returning him to his peak. Looks like I have to break through to the second level of the law realm as soon as possible. Lin Yu judged that his cultivation had fully recovered. However, he remembered that during the battle, just now, his three elements as one was stronger than ever. However, because his cultivation was much weaker than his spiritual consciousnesses and combat physiques, he was in an unbalanced state. If he continued fighting, Lin Yu felt that he might go berserk. Three elements as one: spiritual consciousnesses, combat physiques, and cultivation. If these three powers want to complement each other, they must be equally powerful. Only then will the power they unleash be stronger. Lin Yu analyzed. If his cultivation was at the second level of the law realm just now, he might be able to fight against the two tower masters of the glazed moon stepping tower. Looks like I have to break through as soon as possible. After a night, Lin Yu woke up again. Zhang Qingxue had already come to serve him as he washed up. After that, Zhang Qingxue gave Lin Yu a list. The 10 Great Supremes found this. Zhang Qingxue added, "Master, take a look. There are 3 rounds of the Moonwalk Flower Appreciation Festival and a list of treasure appraisals." Lin Yu nodded. He had some impression of this once-in-a-decade event. The Moonwalk Flower Appreciation Festival was divided into 3 rounds. The first round of treasure appraisals. The second round of the martial arts competition. The third round of flower appreciation. According to the news Lin Yu heard yesterday, the third round should be about Little Mimi. The second round of the martial arts competition was even simpler. It was a sparring in name, but in reality, they could teach their enemies a lesson. As for the first round of treasure appraisals, similarly, it seemed like the glazed moon stepping tower was taking out the treasures they had obtained in recent years for everyone to admire. In reality, it was an auction. Lin Yu looked at the list. He was not interested at first until he saw the list. In the first round of treasure appraisals, there was something that he was very interested in. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.